Hi, it's Paul No Code here. I am a no-code designer. I build with Flutterflow and other no-code tools. When I'm not trying to build with Flutterflow, when I'm trying to learn something new, I am trying to put something here on YouTube so you who's watching me right now can learn how to build your own mobile application. This time, I want to show you how to build apps on Flutterflow. It's going to take you from not knowing anything about Flutterflow to building your own application and launching it on Play Store. That's super exciting, right? You'll be able to launch your app on Play Store immediately after watching this course from the beginning to the end. So this works for you if you're a solopreneur, if you're a startup founder, if you're somebody who's just getting started, if you're somebody who just wants to try out an app, if you're a business person, this really, really works. You will move from not knowing anything to putting your app on the Play Store. That's how it works here. Meanwhile, the Figma file is in the link. It's down below. It's in the link below. You can click on it so you can copy the Figma file. And also the app file also is in the link below. Click on it, play with the application, and get to use it for yourself. So that's the way we're going to do it. As you go, as you watch the course, do remember to subscribe to this channel and do remember to leave your comments. And if you need help with your Flutterflow project, feel free to reach out to me and I'll do well to give you a helping hand. Thank you so much for getting started with this course. Let's get started with the introduction. Welcome. First thing first, I want to tell you something that is super cool and that you should know. Learning requires patience. If you want to learn how to build your own mobile app with Flutterflow, no code or not, it requires you to spend considerable amount of time learning the basics. So we're going to start with the basics and build on the basics till we get to the end. So go grab a cup of coffee, go grab some energy drink, or go grab water, put it by your side so you can start from the beginning all the way to the end. Do make sure that you do not fast forward. Is that maybe you're a pro at this and you know what you're really doing, but if you're a beginner, make sure you do not fast forward. Watch it step by step. So now that we have that out of the way, let's get started. Really, I promise we're going to get started right now. Welcome back to this Flutterflow Beginners course, and I want to run you through everything that we're going to cover. So first, I want you to know that at the end of this course, you should be able to build a blogging application that you can launch right now, that you can launch without no experience. So that's what we're going to be building as a project. So as we go forward in this application, we're just going to be building a blogging app that users can make posts, can leave posts, can comment. The reason why we're doing that is because with that particular application, we'll be able to cover the entire fundamentals of building with Flutterflow. So see what we're going to cover. We're going to cover what Flutterflow is and why it's useful for mobile development. We're going to run you through the free and the paid account, walk you through the entire Flutterflow dashboard, and we're going to set up our environment. That's what we're doing in chapter 1. Chapter 2, we're gonna start building your first application. And so I'm gonna take you through the entire structure, the UI development, the types of layout, and then we're gonna build the user interface of the application. And when I mean user interface, I mean the part that users can see. People who get to come there and read blog articles on your application, that's what they're going to be seeing. We're going to work with images, work with text, work with buttons and gestures. Then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set up your database on Firebase. There are all the options like superbase, Xeno. We're going to go through all that. And we're going to dive a little bit into API. Yeah, very little bit into API. We're not covering a whole lot because this is a beginner's course. You're just going to be doing something that's within the scope of this course. And then I'm going to show you all the different ways to set up your application for success. And at the end of the course, we're going to launch it to the Play Store. Aren't you excited? We're going to be launching it to the Android Play Store. iOS Play Store, I do not have an account there, but it's pretty similar. Launching on the Android Play Store and the Google Play Store, it's pretty similar. What you just need to have confidence. You just need to have confidence that you can do this, and sure thing, you'll be able to do this. You understand that now? Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. What is Flutterflow and why it's useful for mobile app development? I'll see you in the next slide. I'm sure you've heard about no-code tools. You've heard about no-code app builders. You've heard about Bubble. You've heard about Adalo. If you haven't, those are just listed the no-code tools that you can use to build applications just like Flutterflow. So Flutterflow is a no-code or a low-code tool that you can use to build mobile applications as fast as possible. Not just mobile applications, you can also use Flutterflow to build web applications if you want to, but it's just a tool that is known for helping you build mobile applications as fast as possible. This really works if you have experience building product with code or you have no experience whatsoever building product. You just need to come to Flutterflow with an open mind and be ready to build your application. Some super amazing things that I love about Flutterflow personally is the fact that it's very flexible. It's very flexible. That's number one. Number two, it's very extensible. Extensible in the fact that you can always build on top of it. If you're somebody who knows how to code, or you're somebody who has someone in your team that knows how to code, you can build a whole lot more. You can extend it as far as you want to do it with custom code, custom widgets, and a whole lot more. And another thing that I love is that you can build for multiple platforms. You can build for web, you can build for mobile, and you can build for desktop, all in one application. You can even build a tool like Google Chrome with you can build something like a Google Chrome application with Flutterflow. That's amazing, Flutterflow. And number three, one of the reasons why I love Flutterflow, I love the theme. The Flutterflow team, they're great. I love the support. They're really great. They really support you when you're building your application. And secondly, they are always making new changes. They are always releasing new features to always make your application better. Some of the things that I used to do with code when I started using Flutterflow, I do not do them with code anymore because Flutterflow, they've released new updates that does that same thing without code, just simply by dragging and dropping. So that's the reason why I love Flutterflow. That's what Flutterflow is. You basically use Flutterflow as a drag and drop tool for building mobile application. You can see some of the amazing brands that use Flutterflow, big brands in the world, get to use Flutterflow to build mobile application. So that's basically what Flutterflow is. Next, I'm gonna show you the difference between the paid plan and the free plan in Flutterflow. Just join me in the next slide. When it comes to pricing, I really think that the Flutterflow tool is very affordable, especially when you dive deep to see the kind of things that you're able to build, the kind of mobile applications that you're able to build, and how flexible this tool is. If you're going to be starting, I advise that you start with the free plan, especially if you're somebody who is not very conversant with the entire coding environment. I would advise that you start with a free plan, and then from the free plan, you know what you're getting yourself into, and then you can move forward. You can move forward to the paid plan. If you're asking me, what's the difference between the free and the paid plan? First, you need the paid plan if you really want to build things that make sense with Flutterflow. If you really want to be able to deploy your application without deploying it first to your local system before pushing it to the internet, you really do need the paid plan. I would say that you can go with the standard plan. It's pretty affordable for $30 if you're watching this in Europe or in America. But if you're watching this anywhere in Africa, you're going to get this for $12. I'm currently based in Nigeria, so I get this for $28. Why? Because there's some regional discount. And so some of the features that you will enjoy in the free plan is the fact that you'll be able to use the entire core features. You'll be able to enjoy some pre-built templates, Firebase integration, and 2 API endpoints, which I think is not very sufficient for you if you want to build a very robust application. And also, you are unable to download your APK file, you're unable to download your code file, and you're unable to integrate with GitHub. GitHub is some place where you get to store your code and review version changes. You can look it up online. Just go ahead and search for GitHub online, and you'll be able to see it. So I would advise that if you want to take this course, you want to keep going with this course, go ahead and get the standard plan. It will be faster for you to implement most of the things that I'll teach you, and it will be easier. It's less stress and less headache for you. And besides, you don't have to pay now. You can go on their 15-day trial where you just simply put your card, and in 15 days, if you don't like it, you take it away. If you like it, you can keep the card there. I personally use the Pro plan. That's what I use. The reason why I use the Pro plan is because I get support, very, very good support. I get very good support when I use the Pro plan, and also I can easily deploy without all the trouble that comes with shipping things to the app store. And another thing that I like is that when I'm dealing with my client, I'm able to integrate with GitHub, and I'm able to download the APK file and send to them so they can actually try. I'm able to download the APK file and send to them so they can actually review it and give me feedback as fast as possible. So for my best advice, I would say that you go with the standard plan or the pro plan if you want to be able to go ahead with this course. You can see it has here free trial, start free trial. I would say just go ahead and click on the free trial button and you'll be able to build awesome application that you can launch into the Play Store in days. So that's basically what the difference between both pricing, the free pricing and the paid pricing. So now that you know that, next I'm going to walk you through the Flutterflow dashboard. It doesn't matter, you're a beginner, you're an advanced person. I'm pretty sure there will be something to learn from me when we explore the dashboard. So I hope for the benefit of this course, you've been able to settle on a plan. If you go with the standard plan, congratulations. If you went with the pro plan, congratulations. And if you're using the free plan, it's awesome too. You will still be able to explore the course with me, and you will still be able to go through some of the things that I'll cover in this course. But if you know you want to launch it on the Play Store at the end of the day, I would advise that you go for the standard plan or the pro plan. So that's it. Let's get started. So remember, in this part of the course, what we're going to be exploring the Flutterflow dashboard. So go ahead and start for free or sign in if you have an account already. So the reason why it's showing me this is because I have an account already and I'm logged in on this PC. If I am not logged in, it's going to give me a space to put in my username and my password, just like the way every other application works. And you can see, first thing that you see here, you see some of the applications that I've worked on for myself and for different persons, because this is my day job. I build application for a living. So on this side of things, you can see my plan that I'm in the pro plan. That's what I'm using currently. And you can see I can log out from here and I can choose I can make a few other choices, which I'm not going to bother about now. So if you're visiting this dashboard for the very first time, go ahead and click on Create New. Create New and give your project a name. Don't bother about the kind of name you're choosing right now, because you can always go ahead and change it. And one thing that you'll notice there are some templates that you can get started with. I wouldn't advise you to get started with any of this template, especially if you're getting started with Flutterflow. One thing that I think you should do is to learn the basics. Once you're good with the basics, you can use any of this template, customize them as easy as possible so you can launch your product very fast. But if you don't understand the basics, forget about this and go ahead and create your own mobile application. So I'm going to call this application, it's a blog, so I'm going to call it GistReel. I know there are blogs called GistReel, but this is just something that came into my head. I'm just going to call it GistReel. I'm going to start with a blank application. So the first thing, Flutterflow attempts to give you a guide, shows you what you can do and how you can do this. But don't worry about this. Just skip it. It's fine. So once you get here, you will see that Flutterflow is divided into 4 parts when it comes to the screen. It has the canvas where all your design happens, which is right here. This is the canvas where you see my cursor. You see, this is the canvas. And also it has the widget panel. This is the widget panel. This is where you get to choose all the elements you use when building your application. And then we have the properties. Right here on my right hand side, this is the properties panel. And then we have the toolbar. The toolbar is on top. This is where you get to choose what screen you're working on. If I'm working on a desktop, then I want to click this screen. And this is where you get to choose, where you get to contact support if you want to. This is where you get to find the versions of your application. This is where you can, there are a lot of things that you can do here. But we're not going to be covering all that, because this is a simple crash course and I want it to be as fast as possible. But one thing that you should remember is this. The Flutterflow screen can be divided into 4. One is the canvas area, which you're seeing right now, which you see my cursor on right now. And the right hand side is the widget area. The left hand side is the properties area. And the top is the tools area. There are other parts that you can explore. On the left hand side, you can see the widget tree. We'll cover that later. You can see the pages. We'll do that later when we're creating pages. You can see database. You can see our local state. You can see API core. You can see media where we manage our files. You can see custom functions and then the settings. All this we'll explore later. So how about you go ahead, look at everything, and on the left, on the right, on top, on the canvas area, see what they do, and join me in the next lesson. Thank you. In this part of the course, we're going to be setting up our development environment, but it's not going to include setting up Firebase, which we're going to cover up later in the course. See it this way. Flutterflow comprises of two parts. You have the front end and then the back end. You know you are doing a lot of them now, but the back end will not exist without the database, which we're going to set up later. At this time, we're going to focus on the front end, set it up as cool as possible so that we can develop as easy as possible. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the settings. We're going to go to the settings and we're going to go to app details. This is what we're looking for. So as you can see, we have our app details. The name of our app detail is called Xeno. That's the name of the app. Here, Flutterflow is calling it a project. And then you can also see our display name. For the display name, this is what will appear on the App Store. The project name here is Xeno. On the display name, we can also call it Xeno. The reason why you're filling this now is so you don't have to fill it later. So you don't have to fill it you don't have to fill it later when you're trying to pull this on the App Store. Then we also have our app assets, splash screen, and launch icon. All these, I would advise if you're somebody with no design skill, you can go ahead and open Canva and you'll be able to generate all this, create all these things with Canva with minimum effort. And another thing that you want to set up the collaboration. If you are doing this with your partner, you're doing this with somebody else, then you want to invite this person to the file so as to reduce communication workload. So these are a few things that you have to go ahead and set up. But all other things, we're going to be doing those as we progress in the course. So go ahead and check this out. Check out the name of your application. Invite someone to your application if you want to, and join me in the next lesson. Thank you. You've gotten this far, this part of the course, you're such a genius. What I want you to do for me is just subscribe. Click on the subscription button below and subscribe. It's good for the algorithm and it's good for other persons who really want to learn how to build mobile applications without writing a single line of code. So please go ahead and click on the subscription button and then move ahead to the next lesson. Have you done that? You've done that, right? Thank you very much. Almost every application that you intend to build is a combination of screens. What you're doing is that you're combining shapes, you're combining text, you're combining images to make it pleasant to the eyes. If you're not combining anything, then it's not going to work. Just imagine you just putting a single picture on your application and think it's going to work. So don't think of designing or building anything with Flutterflow as an uphill task. All those amazing applications you see, be it Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, they are all combination of different widgets. A widget alone might not really make sense, but when you begin to when you combine it with other widgets, then it begins to make sense. For example, if you're trying to tell the user to click a button, what you would do is that you combine the text. What you do is that you combine the text and the button, and then it will make sense for that particular user. Let me show you a few things. This is a Figma file that contains some of the projects I want to work on. So this is a design journey, different app ideas. So for example, you can see this is an image right here. This is a test. This is a test, this is a test, and this is an icon. Same thing. This is a test. This is a shape with text inside of it. So you can see this is an image. This is an image. This is a test. This is a test, and this is a button. Just by doing it this way, it makes a whole lot of sense. But if you decide to say, hey, I'm going to use a few widgets and nothing at all, then it's not going to make sense for you. When you're structuring your application, make sure that it's a combination of different widgets entirely. And understand that you would fail sometimes when you're trying to do this. And sometimes it wouldn't look as professional as you see it here. But you just need to keep working on it as a beginner and it's going to make sense. We're going to use this particular display. We're going to use this particular we're going to use this as our onboarding section in our blogging application. So you will see how it is to combine different shapes and different parts of your application together. Though we're not going to make it this complex, but it's going to be this good. So let's go back to our application and create our first screen. Now we're creating our first screen. Because this is an onboarding application screen for us, we're going to take away the app bar and we'll be left with this. I love on my primary color, when I click on it, I love to make it white because I really do not like the gray. I like using gray in my design. So I love to make it white. I think it's so clean and better for me. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to be modeling this particular design. And you can see what we have here. We have an image, and then we have a test, and we have another test, and we have a button. Just keep that in mind. Image, test, and a button. So let's go back again. First thing, what Flutterflow does is that whenever you create a new page, it gives you a column. And everything that you're going to be doing on Flutterflow is going to exist in a column or in a row. Column is vertical and row is horizontal. I wish I can show you this now. Column is vertical and row is horizontal. Just imagine yourself sitting in a pew in church. People will sit in rows. Then when you're working down the aisle, it's going to be in columns. So if we're going to attach this to it, if we're going to attach anything that exists in a row, that exists in a vertical position, we're going to be putting them in a column. But if we are doing something that exists in a horizontal position, then we're going to put all of it in row. So the first thing that we'll do, first, we'll go ahead and add an image on this particular column. And how do you do that? Simply click on the plus sign and say image. That's it. If you were able to do this, congratulations, you've been able to add your first widget in Flutterflow. Say image, and then we'll go ahead and give the image a height and a width. If we go back to our Figma design file, you can see the height is 286 by 464. That's the height. But since we're not adding all this to it, because it's going to make the course longer, we're just going to allow the image to span all through. We're going to allow the image to span all width, and we're just going to focus on the height of the image, which is 464. So go back here and we'll click on the image and we'll say we want your height to be 464 pretty tall, and we want your width to be 100. So a width here can be 100%, or if we want if we want Flutterflow to give it an infinite width, we can just click on this button right here. You can click right here and it's going to give it an infinite width. And then we can also determine how we want the image to be. Our image can be bust fit. You can see our image can be contained. You can see it can be, the cover. So all this does not really make sense now when you're trying to use it. But I would ask you to go for the fill or the cover. It makes sense for me a whole lot more. Now that you have this image, you can change the image and make it whatever you want to. There's going to be an assignment after this. And next, we're going to add this. We're going to add our test, like so. And I'll go back to my Figma file. And this is the test, and I'll just copy it. And the font we're using here is the Laura font. The weight is 500 and the size is 24px. We'll go back here, and this is going to be, I'm just going to paste it here, Ctrl V. And the font that we're using is the Laura font. It's 500. Font family, it's Laura. So we're going to put the Laura font family. And this is going to be a 20px. 20 or 24px. I think it's let's just go back and check this. Okay, yeah, it's a 24px font. 24px. So, and this, just watch what happened when I try to expand it. So this is going to expand it in a vertical axis, and this is going to expand it. This is going to make the text shrink. So you're going to make the text shrink, while this is just going to expand it in a vertical axis. I'm going to tell you how to make sure this doesn't happen later. So I'm just going to leave it this way. We're going to fix it later, but let's just go ahead with a column first. Then the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to put in another test. We'll put in another test. That's it. And this test is going to be, we'll go back to our Figma file. I'm hoping that this is not going to be very long. Keep this under 10 minutes. So go back to our Figma file and go back to our, come here and just put our test here. And we'll put our test here, and this is going to be, leave it as a body. This is going to be 400, like so. It's going to be 14, and that's fine. For our body test, just keep it like this, just keep it that way. And lastly, we're going to add a button to it. And this button right here is saying next. That's what this button is saying. And one thing that if there's anything that I love styling in Flutterflow, I love styling buttons because they're very flexible. I love styling buttons and I love styling containers. I'm going to show you about containers later as we go on in the course. And so let's go ahead and style this button. If we go back to our Figma file, we can see that our button, the background of our button is white, and we can see that our button has a font weight of 400, a font weight of 600, size of 14, and the font itself is Inter. So we'll quickly go ahead and do this. Our button fill color is white. So I'm sure you're taking note of how I am changing the color. Button fill color is white. Border color is black, not like it's yeah, border color is black, and border radius is 15. That's fine. And you can see what we have there. And then our text color is black. Text color is black. This right here is 14. Then we have normal. And then right here we have Inter as the font. So we have Inter as the font, and here we can also increase the width. So we can say our height is, we can increase the width of the button 300. So you can see what I've done. I've increased the width of the button, but we still have a bit of an issue here when we're designing this. We have this, which is not going from left to right. We have this, we have this. So we have to add things called padding and margin to our application. So the easiest way to actually do this, we'll do it here. We do it one way here, and as we go on in the course, we'll do it another way. So Flutterflow has this thing that calls wrap. So we're just going to wrap it in a container. So when we right click, scroll down and say wrap widget. This time I'm going to wrap it in a row. Remember I told you that when you're doing something that has to do with horizontal, you put it in a row. When it's vertical, you put it in a column. So I'm just gonna click this right here, so you can see what happened. It's gonna take the entire space of the container. And if there's any space left in this visible area, it's gonna take it. So I'm gonna forget about it. Then I'm gonna go back to the test. Just watch what happened to the test now. Can you see it? See what happened? See what happened to the test? I hope you're watching this. So right now the test is taking is spanning the entire area. That's what's happening. So let's see what happens if we change it to, so we have 20. And now, so then I'm gonna click on this row, and then I'm just gonna expand everything on the row. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click on the row. I'm gonna click on this particular row, and I'm going to add a padding to it. Say 20 padding on top of it. And I'm gonna click the row again and add a 16 on the side. Add a 16 on the other side. And I'm gonna add a 20 below. That's what I'm going to do. And now, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to drag this other one and put it here. I'm going to drag this one and put it here, and but something is not right here. So I'm going to click this again. Let's see what happened. So this is my test. I'm going to drag this. Okay. Something is wrong over here. So this is not supposed to happen. So I'm going to take it back. Ctrl Z to take it back. So I'm just going to take it back and leave it that way. This, I'm going to pull this in a row, in a row also. Wrap inside a row. I'm going to explain to you why that didn't happen. A wrap inside a row also. Then I'm going to give it a padding of 16. Give it a padding of 16. Then I'm going to give it something on top. Just going to leave the top and give it something at the bottom. 16 at the bottom. That's fine. And this is my test. Yeah, I'm going to leave it this way. And then we can click on the next button and move to the other page. So this is what I want you to do for me. This was pretty long, about 13 minutes. This is what I want you to do for me. You can see what I have here on the Figma file. So I have the test. I have 3 other pages, 1, 2, 3, and each of them, one say next, and continue. So what I want you to do for me is go ahead and create the other 2 and join me in the next lesson. If you're watching this on YouTube, just go ahead and pause it, create the other 2, and join me in the next lesson where we get to design more pages. So I'm going to go ahead personally to organize my own page, and when I come back, I'll tell you how I did it. What I'm doing mostly, I'm just going to be adding padding, padding and margin to it. That's what I'm going to be doing. When I say padding, I mean distance between the element and its container. When I say margin, I mean distance between this element and this element is called a margin. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Before I show you the result of my own design, I would love to show you a couple of things about designing pages with Flutterflow. You would definitely be using the UI elements, but there are a couple of things that you should note when you're picking UI design elements. Just like the way you saw me using a column, there are other instances when you don't want to use the column, but you want to use other things, or you want to use other elements. So you will always likely start with a column, especially if you're doing something that requires the scroll to be infinite. For example, if you're scrolling through an Instagram page, if you've noticed, the scroll is always infinite. You never ever get to where you're going. Scrolling from now to the year end, you're never going to get to the end of it because it's infinite. It just keeps scrolling as fast as possible. When you're doing such a thing, you want to keep everything in a column. And when you're displaying a whole lot of lists, you want to use something called a list. So there's a widget in Flutterflow called a list. That works when you're displaying a whole lot of things called list. So let's see a few other widget. So when you click on the plus sign, you will see some of the layout element. So you can see container, row, column, stack, frosty font, card, list element, grid element, and spacer. The one you choose depends on the situation, depends on what you need. For example, like I said before, if I am aligning things in a row, I am going to choose the row widget. So let's say, for example, we want to design the top bar of our application. I'm going to choose a row and just drag it in here. So this is a row. And inside a row, I can have other widgets inside a row. So a row can contain a row can contain a column, it can contain every other element. So let's say I want to have an icon. I want to have an icon like so, and then I want to have a text like so. If you look on your right hand side, which is the property panel, you will see some alignment. A row, you can align everything in the middle just by clicking this. I can align everything to the right just by clicking this. Align it to the left. The default is that your row is left aligned by default. and I can align them space in between. When I do space in between, you can see that the icon goes to the left and the text goes to the right. If I click it again, you can see I can say space around. So you can see there's a whole lot of space on the left, a whole lot of space on the right. Normally you will go for this one, which is the space between, especially if you're creating your top menu bar. But you might be asking yourself, Paul, this is too close to each other. It is too close, too close. What do I do? That's the reason why you get to put a margin. You get to add margin to your design. If you are designing something where the image doesn't have to touch the edge, you can put the margin or you can put the padding on the column here. So for example, I will put a padding of 12, probably 12 on the left, put a padding of 12 on the right, and put a padding of 16 on top, and put a padding of 16 below. So what this means is that every element that I put into this page will just stay inside this container. It will take this padding from its parent. So that's for row. Let's go ahead and add a column. So this is a column. I'm going to delete the row so I can add a column. So this is my row. This is my column. So if you notice, you would see I have two columns inside. One column and another one. So I have the parent column and I have the child column. When I click on the parent column, you can see it's spanning from top to bottom, but it's not spanning from left to right. How do you make it span? Just simply click on the cross axis. Make it stretch. That's what you click. Just simply make it stretch and it's going to span. If I click this, it doesn't span. If I click this, nothing happens. I click this, nothing happens. But just click on this and it will stretch from the beginning till the end. So also, when you click on these two, you can see we have this here. It's spanning from left to right in width, but the height, it's supposed to take the height of the children. That's what always happens with a column. The column will take the height of the children. Hence the reason why you're not seeing anything called height here. If I click on expansion and say expand, see what happens? It will take the entire height of its parent. When I mean parent, I mean this. This is the parent. I'm going to rename this column here and just call it parent. I'm going to rename it and call it parent. And then I'm going to call this a child. So this is the child over here. This is the child. And a parent can have more than one child. So if I go ahead and duplicate this, you can see what happened. One thing that is cool is that even if I have 3 children inside a parent, they will all split to get, they will all divide themselves to get the total height or width of the container. You can see I have 1 child, I have 2 child. See child 1, child 2, and they're still within the same container. If I add another one to it, you can see child 1, 2, and 3. Stay inside the same container. That's the beauty of using a column. A column will only take the shape of its children or its parent. And also you have different axes here. If I go ahead and put a text inside this column, just watch what's going to happen. Put a text inside each of the column, like so. You can see they're all positioned to the top. Why? Because the main axis is saying start. If I put this, it's going to go between. If I click on this, it's going to go below. If I click on this only works if you have 2 elements inside the page. If I add another element here, test, you see what happened? This is space around. If I click this is space evenly, sorry, then this is space around, and this is space in between. So that's basically what you would use a column for. And you could also use a column to display a list, but this list must be very few. It must be a very few list, maybe like 150. But if you're displaying things like 1,000, then you have to use a list itself. So I'm going to take this away. The next widget that I'm going to show you a container. So this is the last widget I'll show you so it doesn't get bored, you don't get bored. I'm going to show you a container. After showing you a container, we're going to go back to our class. So I'll click on the container. So just like you can see, A container is very, very similar to a column, but a container does not take it takes the width of the parents. But here you can see on the property bar, we can specify how high the container would be, how wide the container would be. I can say I'm going to give my container a 500 in height, and I'm going to give it a 80% in width. 80% in width. We'll give it a 80% in width and a height of 500. And also we can see we can give our container border radius. So I'm going to give my border radius of 30. We can give it a border radius, and we can give it a border color. So you can see the way our container looks like now. We're giving it a border radius and we're giving it a color. So that's the thing about a container. A container, you can easily style the container and give it any shape that you want to. You can style the container, give it things like box shadow, gradient, and a whole lot more. And another good thing is that you can put a column inside a container. Yeah, you can put an infinite column inside a container. So if we're expanding it to take the shape of the parent, which we just did, make it take the shape of the parent, and we'll go ahead and remove the height. Let's remove the height so you see what happened. Right, make it infinite. Then we can go ahead and say put a column inside of it. So you can see, let's go ahead and put a column inside of it. There's a column. And I want you to note one, just follow me so you see what I'm doing. Follow me. I'm going to put another row. If you look at it, a container cannot take more than one child. A container in Flutterflow cannot take more than one child, but a column can take many children. So if you're doing something in a container, you would have to put it inside a column. So you style the container and then you put it inside the column. So for example, if I'm going to put a test here, I'm going to put a test here, I'm going to put a test here. So you can see, I'm going to put an image here. So you can see everything is fitting inside the column, but the container itself can only take one child. So that's it for that. We'll come back again and discuss Stack and a few others. Let's go back to our pages. So we have our onboarding here, page 1. We have our onboarding, page 2. And then we have our blog onboarding, page 3. And page 3, I'm supposed to add continue here. I'm supposed to say continue. That's what I'm supposed to say. So if you were able to get this right, awesome, awesome, awesome. If you weren't able to get it, go fix it and join me in the next lesson. Thank you. Well, I want to say congratulations. I mean, you're such a genius. Watching a tutorial past 14 minutes or 20 minutes is such a Herculean task. My goal is to make sure that at the end of this course, you're able to create your own mobile applications. And don't forget to leave comments below if you have questions for me or you want to have further discussions. So let's go ahead and discuss something that's super cool. So this is our Figma file, and you can see this is the way we're doing our login, sign up. Yeah, sign up with email, sign up with Apple, sign up with Facebook, and login. So let's go ahead and do something very similar to this. And when we're doing it, I'm going to be explaining a particular kind of layout to you called stack. Just like the way the name sounds, stack. What do you do with stack? You put things on top of it. That's it. If I say stack the cards on top of each other, what I mean is that put it on top of each other neatly. That's what you're doing. So we're going to create a new page. We're going to say sign up bot screen. So this is not a sign up screen. This is just a sign up screen. Okay, that's fine. So sign up screen. So what we're doing is that we're stacking, remember. And the way to stack first, we're using a column, right? This is a column. That's what we have here. And see what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a stack. So you can see inside the column, I put a stack, or inside the stack, I put a column. It's fine. For the height of the stack, I'm just going to give it 100%. I'm going to give it 100%. The reason why I'm giving it 100% is so that it spans from top to bottom. I can take away the column. You can take away the column and give it a stack. You can take away the stack and give it a column. Let's try that. I haven't tried that before. Let's just cut this. Let's give it a stack only. Let's give it a stack only and see what happens. So you can see we have a stack from top to bottom. So it works similarly, but I wouldn't advise you to use it in an app where users have to scroll. If they don't have to scroll, fine. If they don't have to scroll, stack is cool. If they have to scroll, use a column. So you can see something that's very noticeable here. You can see we have the top stack and we have the bottom end. Stack, you arrange things on top of each other. If you've seen Udemy application or you've seen any e-learning application, you can see that things are arranged on top of each other. Or maybe you see a traveling application, you see things are on top of each other. Let me see if I have something. Yeah. Okay, you can see we have an image at the bottom. We have a test and we have buttons. So this is not really a true representation of stack, even though it's a stack too. But let's find something a bit cool. Let's find something that works. Let's find something. Okay, let's find something that works. I can't really find anything that I could use to. Okay, let's just go ahead and build it. I think that's the easiest way to teach you how to use a stack. So let's go ahead and build it. So we have our test here, 64px, that's it. So let's go ahead and try this. First thing first, I'm gonna bring inside the stack, I'm gonna put an image. Remember that background image, right? That's what I'm gonna put in here. So you see the image right there? And the image, I'm gonna give it a infinite height and infinite width. You can see the image and I'm gonna make it boss fit. You can see it, right? So if you're wondering where I'm getting the image from, it's Flutterflow API. Flutterflow is getting the image by itself, so I'm not really doing anything. But you can use your own image simply by going to a place like Unsplash, collect your own image, look for a vertical image on Unsplash. So this is a vertical image. Let me look for an image of a lady. Since we are doing things that has to do with a blog, ladies love to read blog a lot. I don't know if guys do, but I know ladies love to read blogs a lot. So I'm gonna use this picture of the picture of this lady. I'm gonna say copy image link, but I could find something that's like grayscale. Okay, let me find something that's grayscale. Okay. So I'm going to take this one, copy image link, and I'll go back to our application and just put it here. Just going to put it here. So you can see we have the same application, the same image that we have on Splash. So now that we have this, the image is on top of this now. Now that we have this, we have to go ahead and bring in a test. So we'll put a test, or you can put a row, or you can put a test. So let's just go ahead and put a test in here. So we can put a test, and we can simply drag the test to any coordinate we want to. This is where the test is. We can drag it to any coordinate we want to. And I'm going to give the test a white color. I'm going to give it a white color. Font size, I'm going to give it 64. Give it a white. So this is a test, and for font family, it's Laurel. That's the font family. Remember, it's Laurel. And let's go pick up what the test is saying. So organize and mix, as it's saying. And go back to our application. Put it right there. Organize and mix your closet. So we'll put it somewhere around here. So you see, it's an amazing feature, your ability to drag something and it stays the same way. So you don't really have to think about the coordinate. You just drag. That's what you have to do. So we make it a bit thinner, organize and mix the same way. Okay, now that we have that, the next thing we want to do is to add a few buttons. So 1, 2, 3. Continue with email. Let's just copy this. Continue with email. Continue with, all of it. That's it. So we'll do this two ways. First is to add a button. And just drag the button downwards right there. drag the button downwards, and remember that the color of our button is gonna be black. That's not the color. The text of our button is gonna be black. The color is gonna be no color really, but just make it white. Then we're gonna have this as 250, and our test is gonna say continue with email. So we're gonna have this as 400, and then I'm gonna have this as 14. I'm gonna have these as 14. And the next thing I want to do is that I want to make sure that this fill color, there is nothing in there. So I'm gonna just drag it down and say use color. You can see there's nothing there anymore. And then I'm gonna turn the text color to white. So use color. I'm gonna turn the text color to white. Use color like so. And then the border, I'm gonna turn the border to white like so. And then I'm gonna turn the icon. So the icon is an email. I'm gonna turn it like so. So this is the way it's gonna look like. And one other thing that you can really do is to turn this, wrap this widget inside a column. I'm gonna tell you why. Wrap this widget inside the column like so. That's one thing that I think you can really do. Wrap the widget inside the column, make it as tiny as possible, and move it downwards. I'm going to show you why this is super awesome when you wrap it inside a container. And I'm just going to duplicate this button, Control D to duplicate, Control D to duplicate. So remember on our Figma file right here, we have 3 different buttons. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 different buttons. So you go ahead and style those buttons the best way you can, and join me in the next lesson where I'm going to explain to you how I finished mine. I really want this to be a practice-based lecture and not me just going on and on and on. Go ahead and try this. Pause the video, try this, and join me in the next lesson. Thank you. To do something that look like this, it's fine. If you weren't able to do it, no worries. I'm just gonna walk you through how I did this. So the first thing I did was to put everything inside a column like you saw in the previous lesson. Then next, I added a test element. And then to give it a spacing, I gave it a padding. So you can see I gave padding bottom 16 px, padding bottom 16, 16, 16. So everything has 16 px, padding bottom. And this is the last one where I added a test to say if you're already logged in, I want you to say if you already have an account, I want you to log in. So that's it. Let's go ahead and get into the next lesson, how to use a form. So how do you use a form in Flutterflow? Same thing, we're just going to click on the plus sign and we're going to say sign in form. We're going to say sign in. I'm going to say create. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this one, and then you go ahead and create a login form. Sign up form is for me and the login form is for you. This has to be a project that you're doing as you're learning, else you're going to forget about everything. Don't just watch and be like, I know it now, but instead watch, pause, and do. It is not how many tutorials you consume. It is basically how many you consume and then you can use it. So let's go ahead. Same thing with our column. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create something very, very simple. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add an image on top. I'm gonna add an image on top. I'm gonna give it a percentage. I'm just gonna say 50%. 60% of the image. I'm gonna give it a width, just like that. And I'm gonna give it a bust feet, like so, fill. That's the image I'm gonna use. You can use any image of your choice, but that's fine. And then after doing that, I'm just gonna give it a container. So I'm gonna give it a container. My container, I'm gonna give it a container. I'm gonna say 20%. That's a 30% of my 30%, and I'm gonna give it a full width. Yeah, and then my padding, the padding of my container, I'm gonna give it a few, just give it 20, 20, 20, 20. That's fine. And inside my container, I'm going to just put a column inside of it. I'm going to put a column inside of it that's going to take the entire area of the container. And then I'm going to add an input. I'm going to add a test, an input. We get a test feed. So this is my first test feed. Yeah. Then I'm going to add another one. I'm going to create this one, and then I'm going to fix this one, and then I'll add another text feed. So this is going to be for email. So you can see my test feed, there is nothing in it. So you don't even know it's a test feed. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I'm going to add an email, and then my border color is going to be like so. So you can see now we have a border color. So I'm going to add a border color. I'm going to add something really cool. We have the test, we have the hint, then we have the input border type is not going to be underlined, it's going to be outlined so that it fills the entire rectangle. It's going to be outlined like you see, and then I can add a trailing icon. So I can add an icon to it. Where is it? I'm going to add an icon to it, a leading icon. I'm going to call this email like so, and that's it. So it's just going to be really simple. And then I'm going to add a border. I'm going to add a border radius to it. So border 15, I'm going to add to it. So if when I click all this, it's just going to give it the same amount to everything around it. And my padding, I'm going to call this 8. I'm going to do 8 all around content padding. So this is going to affect only the content that's inside. So when a user is typing, that's when it's going to affect it. And then I'm going to give a padding bottom of 8, padding bottom of 16. Yeah, this I'm going to give it. Then I'll just go ahead and duplicate so we can see email. This is going to be our password. That's what it's going to be. This is going to be the password feed for us, and you see the difference between both of them. So one is the email feed, and the other one is going to be the password. So watch the way I'm going to fix the password. I'm going to tell Flutterflow that this is a password screen. This is a password, so the key parts can behave differently. If I say it's a password, the key part is going to behave differently. So you can see password feed, I'll check it. That's it, I'll check it. Autofocus, that's fine. Autocomplete, no, because I want maximum security. And then for my trailing icon, I'm just going to change this to a key, probably. I'll change this to a key. Change it to a key like so. That's my password. And now you can see the eye icon right there. And I'm going to duplicate this again. This is also going to be a password, but this time it's going to be re-enter password. So re-enter password. Oh, that's the top. So I'm just going to drag it under. Re-enter password. And lastly, I told you how to drop a button. I told you how to put a button, and then this is just going to be sign up. This is going to be a sign up. And remember the way we fix our button. Our button is 400, and then we have a fill color of no fill color. We have no fill color. Yeah, we have no fill color, and then we have our color, our test color. What's our test color? Our test color is black. That's our test color, and our border color is black. That's it. To just give it that. Border color is this color. Yeah, like so. And that's the way we've been fixing our button since, but you can always play with it. You can change it. You can do what you want to do with it. So meanwhile, the goal of doing this is to learn how to impute forms, how to add forms. That's the goal of doing this, how to add forms to your website. So we're doing it. We're creating our blog, our project as we go, and we're learning as we go. So this is your assignment now. This is the sign up screen. and you go ahead and create a login screen. Remember, when you're creating the login screen, the only thing your users are going to use to log in, it's the email and the password. They do not need to re-enter the password. And if you want to put some style to it, you want to stretch yourself, you can design the layout in a different way. It could be a bit more complex. If you want to, your image can be at the bottom while you have all this. Your image can be at the bottom where you have the sign up on top of it. Just play with something, and you see me in the next class. And don't forget to add this to it. Don't forget to add already have an account test. If I already have an account, some sort of like this, already have an account, that's going to be a question mark. Then you say login. Don't forget to have this and give it its, just give it a very smooth padding, and style it the best way that you can. So go ahead, do that, and see me in the next lesson, and we'll compare what you did and what I did, and let's see what's good. But don't worry, as long as it's a sign up, but it allows users to sign up, it's fair and it's okay. I'll see you in the next lesson. I hope you were able to create something cool. So I just created this. This is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. If you had a hard time trying to create this, no BX, don't be too hard on yourself. It's something new that you're creating. It's something new that you're getting started to use. So I think you should, take it easy and, just be cool. So this is the way my sign up button looks like. I said sign up. You can see even I myself am making mistakes with the spelling. So I said sign up. And then this is my login page. And I hope you did remember to change it to login and not sign up. And then you also remember to say sign up. If you don't have an account, sign up. So this is the email. Let's go ahead and change this from test feed to login email. So the reason why you're doing this is so that you remember, so that you can actually pick the right one. So login email, this is just the right thing to do, because sometimes you might have so many forms and you wouldn't know the right one to pick, and you end up making a mistake. So now that we have that, what do we do next? We have to create another screen. This screen is going to be a home screen. So remember, if a person logs into a blog application, they've come there to actually read, and they've come there to read something. They've come there to read articles. That's the reason why they're there. Let's go ahead and create that particular screen. So I'm going to just change this to white. I just love white. Use color. Oh. I'm going to change it to white. I'm going to change it to white. And for this, I'm going to be using another layout called a list. That's what I'm going to be using. There are two different layouts that you would use if you want to populate your screen. You want to show your users a lot of information. One, you either use a list or you would use a grid. They do the same thing, but grid is more some sort of like a picture, like for picture, but for a list, you can use it for anything. It could be a list of anything. It could be a list of homes. It could be a list of schools. It could just be anything, but grid is mostly tailored towards a picture. There are other forms. There's something called a wrap, but we're going to talk about that later if we have time to do so. But let's go ahead and see how to use a list to represent all of those. So now I have my column. Remember, I'm going to take this app bar away. We can always bring it in anytime. If I click this, I can, choose an app bar anytime I want to, so it's fine. So remember what I said to you before, that a container will always, a child will always take the width and the height of the parent if you allow it. So what we're going to do, we have a column. I'm going to add a container, and for the container, I'm going to give it 100% width, so it takes 100% of the container. And sometimes you might give it an infinite width. 100% infinite, they're very, very similar. So here, then we'll go ahead and add our list view to it. Remember, we're displaying a list of posts, right? That's what we're displaying. So this is our list view, this is our container, this is our list view, and inside the list view, I'm gonna add a container or so. So you can see I'm adding a container inside the list view, and I'll just make the container 300 px wide. And for you to be able to understand that we have a container in there, I'm gonna give it a height of 16 all around. Just gonna give it a height of 16 all around, and I'm going to give it border radius of 15, and I'm gonna give it a border color. Gonna give it a border color like so. So you can see we have the container inside of it, and this is a single list view container. I'm gonna show you how, as we go, you're gonna understand how it works. So inside the list view, we want to have a column inside of it. The reason why you're having a column inside of it is because your container cannot take more than one element. So you're just adding a column inside of it. So I'm gonna put a column inside of it. And inside this column, I'm gonna add an image. I'm gonna add an image inside this column. This can be a video and this can be an image. So if it's a blog, you may want to put a video, or you may want to put an image, or you can put both and show them based on certain conditions being true or false. So this is my image, and then I'm gonna just call this 50%. So this is supposed to take 50%, so let's just make it 150, 200. So call this 200, and width is gonna be like so. It's gonna be like so, and then I'm gonna add an image to it. And this image is going to be some sort of like headline. This is gonna be the headline, like so. And for the headline, it's gonna be the headline, and let's see if we expand it, what happens. Not good. It's gonna be the headline, and for the image, we're gonna make it a row. So I'm gonna wrap it inside a row like so, so that I have better control of that particular image. And then I'm gonna give it a padding top of 16, padding top of 8. I'm gonna give it this 16, and then I'm gonna also add another test. And I'm gonna wrap it. So I'm gonna wrap it inside a row. The reason why I'm wrapping them inside the row is because everything is starting in the middle, but if I move this element to start, I don't really have to wrap it inside a row. So I'm just showing you the different ways for you that you can make things work in here, and it also gives me better way to just style everything if I decide to. Or what I can do is that I can put a column again inside here. I can put a column here and just put a column and stack all this inside the column. So inside this column, this is a row inside the column. So I'm going to take the row away. I'm going to delete this one, and I'll bring this one in here. So I have 2 tests inside. I'm going to put the 2 tests inside the column. So I'll wait until it shows the red. So you can see we have 2 columns. So then I'm going to expand the column like so, expand it, and then I'm going to give it a padding top 12, padding bottom 12, padding left 8, padding here 8. And remember, we have this column, and this is going to be 24 px, and this is going to be 500 medium. And our font family is Laura. So don't worry, I know you're tired of changing the fonts up like this, but we're gonna change it. I'm gonna show you how to make it better, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself every time. So I'm gonna say this is the post body. So this is our post body, and it's 15. We're gonna make it normal. That's fine. And this is our post body, this is our image, this is everything that we want. And then we need to add something. So we need to add some call to action. Put this in, and we're going to take this to the left. Remember the last time we saw a blog, right? That's the way it looks like. Then it's going to be read more, and this is going to have a color, so color blue like so. And this is going to be a bit bigger, like 20. 20. I'm gonna make it slant, make it light, say read more, like so. And you can see this is just popping out. This is popping out over there. This is way bigger than our container, so that's why. So I'm going to increase the size of this container, of this the container housing our list view. I'm just going to change it to like 350, like so. And that's basically what I'm going to do. I think 350 it's a lot to give away, so let's make it 320. Okay, so that's fine. This is a list view and that's what it is. But when you're designing a list view, you just design a container only. That's the way you design a list view. You design a container. So to make the list view come alive, we have to fetch the data from somewhere. That's how you make the list view come alive. You fetch the data from somewhere, and then Flutterflow sees that you're duplicating, you're fetching a whole lot of data, and then it duplicates it. But we're not going to bother about that now. Stay on the list view. I'm going to show you a few other things. This is the list view again. And then you see we have different axes. We have vertical and horizontal axis. What you have now is vertical axis, and so it's stacking on top of each other. But if I click on horizontal, you can see the way it is. It's not stacking. It's going side. So it's like you can swap it. That's what it's doing. It's just looking like you can swap everything in there. So if look at my container, so I can make my container like so. This is my container, and what's making this swap? So my height is 200. But it really can be fixed because I have a width of 100. So if I have an infinite width, if I have a width of so I have a width of 100. If I have a width of 100%, so it should stack in very well, and then you'll be able to just swipe. So that's basically the way it works. But we're not going to bother about that now. I'm going to go back to the vertical arrangement that we had before. So you yourself go ahead and create something like this, and then you join me in the next class where we're going to discover a whole lot more about Flutterflow. Pause it, pause the video and get started. Thank you. To fetch data from a list view, you would have to be fetching from an API, or you would have to be fetching from your database. Hence the reason why we have to set up our database first before we can do anything. Before we can do any type of connections, we have to set up our database first. And that database that we're going to be setting up is called Firebase. And I know there are other databases that we can use, but now let's talk about Firebase, and we'll talk about other alternatives later. First thing first, go ahead and say firebase.google.com. That's what you say. And then go to console. So on Firebase, it's not free, but getting started with it, it's free. So, but as you scale your application, you would have to put in your card and pay. And there are a couple of things that you would want to do on Flutterflow that you definitely have to pay for. So it's a Firebase, again, I'm going to reiterate, Firebase, it's an API as a service, a backend as a service. That's what it is. So almost everything that you're doing on Flutterflow, it's front end, but what you're doing with your backend is running on Firebase. Your custom functions, your everything is just running on Firebase, and that's why you are able to build very complex application using Flutterflow. First thing first, go ahead and click on add a project, and then here you give it a project name. You give it a project name, and your project name, call it anything. So I'm going to call it Gistreal. That's my project name. Don't worry, you can always remove the project from your Flutterflow account if you're not comfortable with it. Click on continue, and then click on continue. Google Analytics, I don't want to allow analytics for this project because I think it's just a play project. That's fine. And I'll click on create. And once you click on create, it should take you only a few seconds depending on where you are and depend on your network capacity. It's just going to take you a few seconds and you will have your backend ready. That's how fast it is to create backend with Flutterflow. And you're doing this, you're doing this alone, you're not doing this with the help of a developer. That's how cool it is when you build with no code. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. So now that you have this, you're gonna be on the Spark plan. You stay with it, it's fine, you're comfortable with the Spark plan. And once you're done with this, the next thing you go ahead and do is to click on the build. When you click on the build, say Firestore database. So we're doing two things. First thing, we created a project. That's the first thing we did. And then now we are creating a database where we'll store everything in our project. And then click on create database. So I advise you to start with the test version of the database and not the production version. You can always move to the production version at the click of a button. So click on next, just enable, and that's all you have to do. Once you've created this provisioning cloud Firestore, the next thing you'll go ahead and do is to create the storage itself, because your images, your files will have to be stored somewhere. So click here, say storage, and then say get started. Say test mode, and say next. Say done. So this is where you're going to start, your users are going to store things like images, files that's coming from your application. If this storage has not been created, things are not going to work very fine for you. So that's the first step. Once you're done with this, let's go back to our settings, click on users and permissions. Add member. And this is where you're going to allow Flutterflow to allow Flutterflow to have admin right to your application. So you go ahead and say editor. So I'm going to add firebase at Flutterflow and say add member to it. So once you're done with adding members to it, the next thing you do is to click on advanced permission settings. You need to give Flutterflow more right, cloud function admin right, and service account user right. That's what you have to give them so they can add data and remove data from your Firebase account. If you don't want to go through all this, then you would have to use another type of database, so you don't have to give Firebase any right, like editing right to your application. But it's not really bad. Your app is still going to be very, very safe. So you come here where you have Firebase at flutterflow.io, and you come here and you click here, just click here and make sure that this is the project that you're working on. Click here and say add another role. The role that you're going to add is service account user. That's the role you're going to add. Just scroll down, say service account user. Yeah, right here, service account user. Then add another role, and this role is going to be called cloud function admin. Right there. Click the role and say save. Just say save. And that's all you have to do. Once you do this, you're almost done. Last, copy this project ID, the one you see on top, the one immediately after the slash project, Ctrl C, go back to your application. Click on settings, click on Firebase, add the project ID here and say connect. Now it says success. That's the first thing. Next, say auto generate config file. And this is your time of glory. Once you do this, what this means is that you have successfully connected your Flutterflow application with Firebase, and you deserve a real drink. You deserve a very real, like you deserve a drink for that, a toast for that. And so congratulations, you've been able to connect your Firebase and your project. So once we're good with this, the next thing we'll do is to set up the database itself that will house the application. So go ahead and try this, fix yours like this, and join me in the next lesson. Set up Firebase and connect it all the way with Flutterflow. You should, give a round of applause to yourself. You've been doing great. So now that you've been able to do that, there are two ways to set up your database in Flutterflow. One of them is to set it directly from here. Set it directly from here, and it's less work. Why? Because you've connected your Firebase and your Flutterflow, you can set it up. But if you want to do this, you must have the plan. You must have a paid plan. If you're on the free plan, you can't. It's not possible for you to set up your data collection here and then it shows on your Firebase. It's not possible. First, let me explain a few things for you. Flutterflow refers to its database as collections. So whenever you hear me say set up a new collection, I'm saying set up a new data type, a new database type. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Set up a new collection. So it has a collection, then it has data types. Data types, you can create it yourself. But collection is similar, but a collection comprises of different data types. Flutterflow comes with data types that it's created for you already, so you can just pick from it. But for you, and also you yourself, you can create your own data type and tell Flutterflow what you want it to be. So I'm going to start with the free plan first. This is how you would do it if you're creating with a free plan. First, you will come back to your Firebase. You will click on database, and then you will say start collection. For example, on our blog, the first kind of collection we want to create will be a user collection, because you want your users to be able to sign up. You want them to be able to log into your application. This is some sort of a social, let's call it some sort of a social blog. But if it's just any blogging app, you wouldn't require anyone to sign up. You wouldn't require them to log in. You would just only require them to come to the application, view the blog, view the articles, watch videos, and watch advertisement too, so you can make money. So we're just going to refer these as some sort of a social blogging application where people can communicate with each other, do a lot of nice things. So first thing first, I'll just go ahead and create my user. So I'll create my user, auto ID, and then I'm going to add feeds to it. So user will have a name, and the type. You can see there are different types. You have string, you have numbers, boolean, map, array, null, timestamp, geopoint, and reference. This is the reason why I do not like creating database here, because the type is very limited. But if you're creating inside of Flutterflow, you have a lot of type to choose from, including colors and a lot more. So a user will have a name, a user will have a password. A password is a string. A user will have a photo. So photo here is also a string. That's what it is, because it's just a path. It's a string too. A user will have what else? Photo name, will have a display name, which is also a string. So when you're done with this, you just go ahead and create save. Now what happens is that you now have a user collection with no records. And what happens is, if you say add document, it will ask you to, if you say add a document, it will basically ask you to fill all these things, like add a feed. No, you're not adding the feed. Add the document, it will ask you to enter all this. And another thing that you want to do, that you will do after this on the free plan, is that you will go back to your Flutterflow dashboard and create this the same way. You will create the user feed, you create a collection called user, and the same way you've created them here, display, name, password, and photo, is the same way you will create it here with no spelling error. If there is a spelling error, it won't work. You have to create it with 0 spelling error. That's the reason why I think if you want to, you want to gain the full benefit of working with Flutterflow, you just go ahead and upgrade to a pro plan, so it makes a whole lot of sense for you. So there's something else you have to do if you want your users to be able to log in and sign into your application. Remember, we have created the user database, and that means we're expecting people to be able to authenticate. So we have to tell Flutterflow, hey, we need you to allow users to sign in via a particular method. So what you do is that you come back to your database right here on the left hand side, click on authentication, and you say get started. So everything, you have to tell Firebase to do everything before it does it. And for the providers, we'll click on email and password, and we'll say enable, say save. If you want people to be able to authenticate via Google, you click on Google, say enable, and say save. My email, I'm just going to use my personal email as project email and say save. So for you to be able to use Google on Apple devices, you have to be able to use Apple sign-in. I think from the last time I checked, you can correct me in the comment section if it's wrong. You need to be able to authenticate with Apple sign-in if you want Google to work. So the best part of it, if you know you're not very comfortable with setting up all this, the best way to do it is to allow users to sign up via email and password, so you don't have headache. Just allow them to sign in with username and password. There are tons of other providers that you can use depending on the type of application you're creating. If you're creating applications for techies, you can just use GitHub straight away. So that's the only thing you will do, and then you go ahead and map your database with what you have in Flutterflow. I'm not going to come back here again to set this up. I'm just going to go back to my Flutterflow and do everything from there. And for this collection, I'm going to delete it. But if you're on the free plan, you know what I told you. You create it here first, all your database schema, you create everything here, and then you come back to your dashboard and create the same thing without any spelling mistake. So I'm going to delete this. So now this database is empty. I'm going back to my Flutterflow. I created my user, and I'm going to say user will have a name. A user will have a name, and my name is a string. So you see what I was telling you about? Flutterflow has a whole lot of data type, more data type than the Firebase console. But it's still the same data type, but it's just, Flutterflow is just making it simplified. So name is a string. I'm going to say create. Next, I'm going to add a display name like so. And I'm going to say string. And I'm going to say verified. So if your app requires you to check if a user has been verified, then you want to add it. And you see I'm choosing the Boolean data type. Boolean data type is like a yes or a no data type. So if it's verified, it's yes. If it's not verified, it's a no. So I'm going ahead and say create. And then I need the photo. This is not very necessary for a blogging app, but for the sake of this class, I'm going to add it to it. Photo here is going to be the image part. Create. I would say created art. So this is the time the person joined the application, created art. Guess what it's going to be? It's going to be a timestamp. So if this person is making changes, modified art. Modified art is going to be a timestamp also. If I'm getting this person's location, where this person is located, maybe I am tailoring the content based on location, then it's going to be its latitude and longitude. So that's it for this. And then we'll go ahead and add another collection. We'll call this post. We'll say create. And you know what a post will be? A post will have a title, and that title, you know, is going to be a string. Sorry, title, it will have a description, some sort of like the post body, and that will be a string. It will have an image, and that will be an image path. If it has a video, it could have a video, and that will be a video path. And then you also want to put the time the post was created at. So the reason why you're doing this so that you can sort it via time. Yeah, so you can sort it via time. A post can have more. It can have categories, it can have galleries, it can have multiple pictures, but we're not going to bother about that for the sake of this class. So we have the user, we have the post, and then I want to show you something. Click here again and say comments. Say comments and say create. So here, this is a comment and this is a post, right? So Firebase gives you the ability to link two things together. To link two of these things together. Oh, I think I've been creating it wrongly. This is not supposed to be here. This is supposed to be here. What I've been creating is a data type. What I've been creating is a data type. So this is what I did wrong. I'm supposed to create it here, a collection here, but I've been creating data type instead. So normally I'm supposed to have a data type, like create a collection. I'm just going to give it a user and say create. And I'm just going to use so you can see we have the email, display URL, photo URL, created time, and phone number. Then what I created here was a data type. If I wanted to create a new feed, I click on the plus sign. If I click on the plus sign, I can select the data type that I just created, the user data type. And this particular data type will have all these feeds. A user will have a name, a display name, verified, photo, created art, modified, location. It will have all of these feeds, but it's just going to be a single data type. I just hope it makes sense to you. But the way I created it before was wrong. I would have explained the data type to you again. So let me just create a new collection called post. Don't worry, we'll stay safe. I'm gonna create social post. So post photo, title, post. So I'm just using a template from Flutterflow right here. That's what I'm doing. So then I want to create something called I'm gonna delete this. I really don't need this. Delete. Then I'm gonna create another called the comment I was gonna create earlier. I'm gonna call it a sub collection, and the sub collection is gonna be a post. So what this is saying is that these posts have the right relationship. This new collection, which is comments, have the right relationship with the post. So a post will have many comments, while comments belong to one post. So we'll create, and then you can see it's slightly under. So you can see the comment is under the post. That's it. And then if you think you're making sure that your users can create posts. Yeah, your users can create a post. This is what you would do. You would go ahead to your post, and then you would say created by who. Then there's going to be a document reference, and it's going to be a user. And then you say okay, right? So what this means is that a post belongs to one user, and the user can have many posts. And then we'll also come back to the comments too. A comment will have a description, right? A comment will have a description, and then that description is going to be a string. And then we'll have created art. What time was this comment created? It's going to be a timestamp right there. And the next thing is who created the comment. Yeah, user. So we'll say created by who. That's going to be a reference. If you guessed it right. That's going to be a reference to a user. So a user can have many comments, where comments belong to one user. And you can see that I'm not creating a relationship to the post anymore, because it's a sub collection of the post. I don't have to create any relationship with it anymore. So this is this. I'm just gonna delete this. I really don't need this data type. I'm gonna delete this. I'm also going to delete this. And then we can create a data type for the post itself. So I just use this to I'm just going to use this to define what the data type is. So I'm just going to say create a data type, and let's say this is going to be a it's going to be a data type for the post, right? It's going to be a list of, let's say, social. Let's just say this is a post social, and this post social will have likes. It will have likes, and this is going to be a list. It's going to be a list of what? It's going to be a list, yeah. It's going to be a document reference, and it's going to be a list. So the reason why this is like this is because a post will have likes by people. So I'm going to say create, and this is going to be on like. So when I mean on like, I mean people who hate the post, and then it's going to be a list, a document reference, and it's going to be a list. A document reference is going to be a list, and it's referencing users also. So now I have likes, I have unlikes, and I can count. I can count the number of persons who liked and count the number of persons who unlike. And then I'll come back here and I'll click on the post itself, and I'll create a data type, and I'll call this social. And I'll click here and I'll call this data type, and I'll call this social. You can see there is no social on the database on the Flutterflow data type template. But when I click here, you can see there is social here. So this social data type inherit this particular data type that I just created. So this is pretty long. I don't like it being this long. So go ahead and create your own data type, your own database, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you. Hey, if you are a solopreneur, you are an entrepreneur, you are a business person, or you are some startup studio looking forward to building your mobile apps, I just want to tell you right now that I am free. I am open to taking new jobs. Feel free to reach out to me by clicking on the link below. So just click on the link below and you can definitely reach out to me, book a call, or chat up with me directly on social media. So that's it. Let's continue learning how to build mobile apps in Flutterflow. So you were able to create that. Congratulations to yourself that you were able to create your database. It's not a small feat. And as you do these things, you will see red. You would see some stuff in red, some numbers in red. This is just basically showing you things that you need to correct. Warning, it's not so bad, it's okay. Errors, it's very bad, as your project will not run without the error. With the error, it won't run if your project has an error, so you have to go ahead and fix that if you want your project to run. So if you are on the free version, you will have to go ahead and add everything like I told you before now. If you are on the pro version, all you have to do is go ahead and click on manage content so you can add content to your application. So I personally want to add content to this application, yes, so that I can display it on the screen when we need to. So I'm going to go ahead and click manage content. On the pro version, it should open a CMS where you can just go ahead and add content to your application. So I'm gonna populate it with the post only, and I'm just gonna say add document. So if you have a CSV, you can go ahead and upload the CSV. That's fine, but I don't have a CSV here, but I'm just gonna go upload it. So I'll see you in the next lesson when I'm done with uploading my post. You too, go ahead and create your own post. Add as many posts as possible as you can, and join me in the next lesson. Thank you. If you look at it right now, I have gone ahead to fill my documents with this data. And if you're struggling to fill it, this is how you would do it. So I will click on the add documents, and then I will either upload an image or turn it into a URL. I prefer to use the URL because it's way faster. And I will look for the post that I want to the the image that I want to use, and I'll copy the image link. I'll go right here to my dashboard and paste it, and then I will click on my title. I'll paste it here and click on the description. Just copy as much as I want to. Copy right there. So I'm just going to copy this one. Yeah, Control C, and I'll paste it right here. I'll choose the time. So the only thing I'm going to choose is the time and nothing else. I'm just going to choose the time and nothing else. And to portray folder, you can see the feed that I talked about. You can see this is the like and it's a list. This is an unlike and it's a list. So if I click on it, I can add data, but these data, you don't really add them. You're always going to add them dynamically. So I just clicked on create, and you can see Flutterflow has created these data. So let's go back to our application. Remember, when we're building the application earlier on, we stopped here where we created this list view. So this is where we're going to fill that data right now, and I'm sure you're going to be wow. So I'll click right here and I'll go to my list view. This is my list view. I'll click on my data. I'll click on my data and I'll say add backend query. Remember, one of the things we said we're going to cover on this Flutterflow course is working with data, setting up firebase, storing with shared preferences, reading and writing data to our database. These are things that we're going to do in this course, and we're doing it really. We're not doing it in a very particular order, but we're doing it. So we'll click on query data type. I would say query collection, and we'll say what collection. We're querying the post collection, and then we will create list of posts. Yeah, we're not counting, so don't count. Create a list of post collection, and the order, we'll say order by. The order by is going to be created date, timestamp, time posted. We're going to say decreasing. That's it. And we will say allow infinite scroll, which is fine, and say confirm. Then you say confirm, and you can see what happens. You can see we have a list 1, list 2, list 3, and it just keeps going. So once you're done with this, the next thing that you want to do is that you want to fill all this placeholder with the real deal. So I'm going to go back to I'm going to click on my image. And this image normally is coming from Flutterflow, but this one is going to come from our post now. I would say set from variable, I would say post documents, and then it's going to be a post photo. This one, this H1 test, I'm going to say set from variable also, set from variable, post document is going to be a post title. See, it's pretty straightforward. And this, I'm going to say set from variable, post document is going to be post description, but I'm going to say maximum characters allowed. I'm going to say 140. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want users to be able to see everything. So I'm going to allow me say 100. I don't want users to be able to see everything. Yeah. So it's just going to cut off, and they will have to click on it to go to the other screen. For the read more, I don't have to touch it. You can just leave it here like so, because you're going to be adding the on-click element to the entire card. That's what you're going to be doing. So we're not 10 minutes yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and create the on-click element. So this will show you how to send data from one page to another. You really have to follow this closely. You're going to be sending data from one page to another. That's what you'll be doing. So let's go ahead and create another post, another page. I'm going to say plus sign. Let's say plus sign, and this is going to be post detail. Post detail, I'll say create new. So this is my post detail page, and don't worry, I'm not going to turn this to white. It's all right. This is my post detail page, and what I want to do is that I want to add an on-click action. I'll add it to the full container. Yeah, to the full container. And I just need to add it to one container and it will appear on the others. So I'll go ahead and add an on-click action. I would say click on this arrow, add action. I would say navigate to the post details page. And then when it's navigating, I want to send a parameter. And the parameter I'll be sending is going to be the post itself, the current post itself. So there are a couple of parameters that you can send. You can send document reference, it's fine. You can send a full document, it's fine. You can send a full document, you can send a post reference, you can even send a color, you can send any of this. It's very fine. So I'm going to show you both. I'm going to send a document first. I'm going to send a document, and the type of document will be a post, and I would say confirm. And then I would pass the current post document to it. Current post document, I'm just going to pass it like so to it. That's the way you pass it. Another way you can pass, you can also say define, and you just go ahead and add perimeter, and it's going to be a reference. So what you're sending here, you're sending the full post. That's what you're sending, the full post. But so when you send the full post, you're not searching for anything. Flutterflow is not searching for anything because you're just sending the post from one page to another. But when you're when you're sending a reference, what you're telling Flutterflow is, I want you to search through the entire database, find the post with this particular reference, and show it to the user. So I would advise, if you want your application to be really fast, just go ahead and use the document. It's easy. Flutterflow doesn't have to search. It just goes ahead and find that document. So if we go back to our post details screen, I'm pretty sure you know what to do here. If we go back to our post details screen, you will see that our document is already here. Yes, the document is here already, but we can just go ahead and click on the plus sign, click on this database here, add backend query, click on it, say document from reference. What document is it? It's going to be a post. And what reference is it? It's going to be this post reference. It's going to be reference like so. Say confirm, and that's it. So what you're saying is that you're telling Flutterflow to find that particular document that has that particular reference. So it's very similar doing via post and document. I just love to do document because it's less stress and less work for me when I'm trying to get the elements of a collection. So what are you going to do here to show all these things? Nothing. You just need to do the same thing that you did in the other post, but this time users are viewing it a whole lot more, and you put a back button for users to go to the back when they're done reading. So you can see the image, our image width like so, and then I'm just going to give it like 300 px for the image width. And this is going to be set from variable. It's going to be our post document, and it's going to be our post photo. And then we're going to have a test underneath it. The test is going to be underneath, and click on the column here. I'm just going to float everything to the side. Test is going to be underneath it, and this is going to be 20 px. Font family, remember, it's Laura. That's what we're using, and 500. And then I'm just going to give it top. We're going to give it to the side 12. I'm going to give it to the side 12. I'm going to give it 12 to the side. So this, instead of having this hello post, we're just going to get it from variable, say documents, and it's going to be title, post title. And you know what we're going to add more, right? You know we're going to add more. Just going to add the test, yeah. And the test, we just need to give it a padding left of 12, padding right of 12, padding bottom like so. And then once we're good with that, we'll just go ahead and say, what do we want this to be? We want this to be the post description. And then we'll just go ahead and give it 400 normal. And that's basically all we have to do to show the post. That's all we have to do, nothing else. And then remember, we have something called a comment, which we're going to be planning for in the future, the comment section. So it's very good that you have what you want to build in your head first before building it, so you know how to structure the elements in your page. So if we're going to be adding a comment, it means that our comment is going to be down here, it's going to be below, and our post is going to be on top, right? So we're going to need 2 columns to do that, or a column and a row to do that. 2 columns or a column and a row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a column here. I'm going to create a column. I'm going to push it forward like so. Yeah. I'm going to expand it. And then I'm just going to add all these elements inside the column. I'm going to add this element inside the column like so. So you can see all the elements are inside the columns. I'm just going to drag it down. I'm going to drag it down. And then I'm going to create another column. I'm going to create another column. This column, right? I'm going to make it scrollable. Yeah. Just watch it. This column, I'm going to make it scrollable so it slides under the other one. And this one is going to be a column or row. It's fine. A column, a row, it's all right. So I'm going to make it a row. Yeah, this is not scrollable. This is not going to be scrollable, but it's just going to be a row that has some sort of a container inside of it. So the container is going to have 100% width. The container is going to be as long as the container is going to be pretty long. It's going to be as long as the row itself. And then I'm going to click on this top row and I'm going to give it like this. I'm going to give it space between. You can see this is where we're going to have our comment section where users will be able to leave comment, and this is where we're going to have our post. So as our post become bigger or longer, it's going to slide under this one. It's going to slide under this one, and this is going to be static. This is not scrollable. It's just going to be static. I hope you get this. I hope you understand how these work, and you can give it an elevation to give it some sort of a shadow if you want to. It's fine, but I just hope you understand what I just did. If you don't, please rewind it back and watch it all over again. So thank you. Go ahead and connect your pages. Now you know how to send data from one page to another. Go ahead and connect those pages, and I'll join you in the next lesson. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and pause it. Pause it. Do this first and join me in the next lesson. You only learn when you do stuff. That's it. On that, congratulations, you've been able to do that. And then we're going to do a few things more, just a few more, and we're almost done with this course. We get into the the later stage of the course. Let's go back to our application, to the beginning of our application. Did you think about it when a user click on the next, what's supposed to happen? Of course, they're supposed to move to the next page when they click on the next, because it's an onboarding. We're just onboarding. That's what we're doing. So click on this next button, click right here and say add action. So when the user click on this next, navigate to onboarding 2, and that's all you have to do. Go to onboarding 2 and say when a user click on it, I want you to navigate to onboarding 3. Then go to onboarding 3 and say when a user click on it, when a user click on this, I want them to go to the auth page. Navigate to the sign up auth page like so. And this is the page you're going to when a user click on it. And then when a user click on continue with email, what do you want to happen? You want to navigate them to the sign up page. That's it. The sign in page. And when they click on already have an account, you want to navigate them somewhere again to the login page. Navigate to the login page. So we're going there. And so when they're in the login page, what do you want to happen when they click on the sign up? We want to sign them in. That's what we want to happen. So this feed, we're going to call it, we're going to change it, call it sign up email. Sign up email. This feed is, we're going to call it password 1, and this feed we're going to call it password 2. You could do this without naming it, but the reason why we're naming it is so we don't get confused. So we click on the sign up button, click right here, add action, and we will say we would say firebase. You say firestore, that's what we'll say. Firestore, no, firebase authentication, pardon. We'll say firebase authentication. We want to create an account right there, and we would say, what do we want to do? Email, that's the user, that's the provider, and the email field is the sign up email. The password field is the password 1. Confirm password is the password 2. And then this is going to the user collection. We don't have any other extra feed to add, and that's it. So when they fix this, what we want to happen after? So when they're done with signing up, when they're done with logging in, we want to take them to the home page so they can view posts. That's what they came there to do. So remember, I'm clicking on the sign up and I'm opening the action flow editor. We've already asked them to sign up here, and we'll click right there. We'll say action, navigate to the home page. That's it. Navigate to the home page. And here we have an error. The error is saying that alt action requires authentication to be enabled for this project. So just simply click on this. It will take you to the page where you have to enable authentication. So that's the settings and the app details page. Authentication enabled, where is it? App detail page, click on authentication and say authentication enabled. And then once you enable authentication, it's going to ask you what's the entry page. The entry page is our onboarding 1. That's the entry page. Our logged in page is our home page. That's all you have to do, and you're good. So let's go back to our action again. Click on action. You can see we have the green arrow. We have the green arrow. It means we do not have any error on the page. So now that I've done that, I'm going to leave you with this task. You go ahead and add this. So when the user click on the login, what do you want to happen? You want to take them to the login page. And when they click on this login, you want to log them into the application. Go ahead and try that. Pause the lesson. Go ahead and pause it. Try it out. And you can join me where I'll show you how to do it. So welcome back. If you were able to create that, awesome. If you're not able to create it, let's just watch me as I do it. So when the user click on this test, I would say click on this action, add action. I will navigate them to the sign-in screen, the login screen. That's where I'm going to take them to. I'm going to take them to the login screen. And then we'll go back to the login screen right now and say click on the login button, click it right here and say, what do we want? We want to click on the Firestore authentication. We want to say login, and then we want to say alt provider is email field is login email, password field is login password. Click on open action flow editor. Click on the plus sign, add action, navigate to the home. So when they're done with logging in, they navigate to the home page. So if you got that right, awesome. If you didn't get it right, nothing to worry about. You finally did it, and I'm so proud of you. So meanwhile, we have this error here. I don't like seeing errors. We have this error here. Let's go fix it. It says we have the user here, and we have the user. And what else again? What's happening? It says collection post has a feed post user, which is a document reference of an unknown collection. So let's go post user created by post user document reference user. So let's take this away. So I have already created by, that's fine. So what again? So it says collection post has a feed likes, which is a document reference of an unknown collection. So let's go ahead and click on this data type. Click on this. Okay. So what I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna take this away. Delete data type, just to avoid any of this. And say delete data type, and I'll come back here and I'll delete this. Then for the likes, what I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna say likes. The likes is gonna be list. It's gonna be a list. And it's gonna be document reference, and it's gonna be a list of users. So the reason why I'm doing this is because the reason why I'm doing this is so that I know that a lot of people will like one post. If you know, on Instagram you have a lot of people liking the post, lots and lots of people liking the post, and a lot of people can also dislike. So I'm just going to change it to dislikes. Since I already have a like on top of it, I'm going to change it to dislike, and that's fine. So this really works when you have some social media thing on your post, and it really works. So now I think it's all gone. So what's there again? So this should be all gone. Collection post has a feed likes, which is the document reference of an unknown collection. This is likes. This is not supposed to be. So I'm just gonna do it and delete it and do it again. Likes. I'm just gonna say list, and then it's gonna be a document reference. It's gonna be a user, and check. So we don't have any error again. That's fine. So now we're gonna add comments to it. We'll do it the same way we've been doing things before. So once you get a hold of building GUI with Flutterflow, it becomes very easy for you. So let's go ahead and do it the same way. So first, I'm gonna go ahead and add a container. I'm gonna add a container to it. Same column. Yeah, I'm gonna add a container to this inner column. After adding a container, I'm going to add a list view. So the reason why I'm using a list view is because I know that a post can have thousands and thousands of comments, right? And there's a way you could even do this. You can make a post have a comment have sub comments, like the way you see it on some social media sites. And then inside the list view, I'm going to add a container. And inside the container, I'm just going to give it a test. And this test is going to be like 400 px. Yeah, it's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to give it a padding on the side of 12, 12, and 4 up and 4 below. And this container over here, I'm going to give it also a padding on top of 8, padding below of 8, padding side of 12, padding left of 12. And in here, this is the main column, and I'm gonna give it in percentage, and I'm just gonna give it 30%. So 30%, we can scroll. We can scroll all the comments and see the one that works well for us. And for this container, I'm gonna give it a radius. I'm gonna give it a border color. The same border color we've been using for all the tests, just to differentiate it. Gonna give it a border color and just make it a bit round. Give it a 15 all around, like so. Give it a 15 all around. Border width, I'm gonna give it a border width of 1. That's fine. And I'm not gonna deal with anything like box shadow and the rest. And then for my list view, I'm just gonna go here and click on my database. Click on my database, add backend query, and then say query collection. And I'm going to query the comments, and it's going to be from variable. Click on it. It's going to be from either of the variable. It's fine. It's going to be from the post variable reference. Click on the confirm, click on confirm, and click on the confirm button. And so you can see one thing is cool here, that you can scroll. So you can scroll. Users will only be able to scroll all these comments. So we have our test here. Now we can set our test from variable, comment, documents, description. And one other thing that you can take this further. If you want to take this further, what you can do is that you can add the image of the user who created the comment somewhere in the comment section. Why? Because we reference the comment and the user together. So now you'll be able to pull everything about the user on this comment we get, and you'll be able to use it anytime you like. And even the creator of this post, you'll be able to use it here if you want. So at the end of the post, you can say created by XYZ, and that works too. So let's go ahead and work on our container. So remember, we have a container over here, and this container should have a role. Yeah, the container should have a role inside, and inside it to have a test entry, to have a test. Okay, test feed, and also it will have an icon. It will have an icon or button. Anyone you choose is fine. So we have a test feed, we have an icon, and we're just gonna call this send or envelope. So send, and this is gonna be the icon. So we'll call it maximum line. We're gonna make it 2 to make it a bit big. Maximum line 2. And this guy over here, we're gonna give it some padding left, 8, some padding right, 8, that's fine. And this over here, what are we gonna do here? We're gonna give it a border. Yeah, we're gonna give it a border like so. Give it our usual border like so, and the border is not going to be on the line. The border is going to be different. So let's just say decorator is going to be outline. That's what we're going to give it. So we have an outline here, and we'll just give it some, some styling like border radius of 15. That's what we've been using, and I think that's fine. That's fine for us. And so when they type this, what happens when they type this? So we click on that action is going to be on this button right there. But before we do so, click on the row and just make it space in between to give a bit more space. And this right here, click on this icon, click here, add an action. We'll say what's going to happen. It's going to be a firebase. So here I'm showing you something new. This is firebase, create a document. And what document is going to create a comment, and what kind of feed do you want to add to it? What do you want to add to? What's the reference? The reference is the current post. I'll tell you why when we finish doing this, and we say confirm, add the feed, add the feed, add the feed, add the feed. So the description is going to be the text coming from this box. And how do you get the text coming from that box? It's going to be from a widget. That's what it's going to be from. Widget state, some hint here, this text. So when you type this text, it's going to appear as a comment. Created art from variable. Now we're getting the time. Global properties, I will say current time. Yeah. Created by, we'll say authenticated user reference. So when I mean authenticated user, it means the user who's creating the post right now. So when you're done with creating this post, what do you want to do? You want to click here and say, just show a snack bar, show a snack bar, show a snack bar and say specific value, show a snack bar and say your comment has been recorded. So your comment has been recorded. You're saying how many seconds you want it. This 4,000 milliseconds is 4 seconds. And that's fine. You don't have to do anything else. Your comment has been recorded. You're gonna find the comment here, and that's cool. And let's do something else here on this list view. Lastly, we're gonna go order by, let's say order by created art, and it's gonna be decreasing so that you'll be able to see your first comment that was, usually you'll be able to see the last comment that was made on top of it. So you go ahead and fix this up. Let me see what you did. Leave the link in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this in some other place, just leave the link in a place where I can find it, and we'll move forward. I'll see you in the next lesson. So we've talked about Firebase already in this course, and now we have Superbase and we have Xeno. Both are Firebase alternative. Yes, they're Firebase alternative. You know about Firebase a lot because it's owned by Google, and Google is a very big organization. The difference between Firebase and Superbase is that Firebase is a NoSQL database, and you can see when we're doing the reference, we're just using that document reference to do things. But Superbase is an SQL database. So if you are more SQL inclined, then you want to go with Superbase. And also you can do what you want with this database. You can manipulate it the way you want to manipulate it, and you can scale it as much as you can while paying less. So look at it, look at the pricing over here. You can see you're paying $25 a month, and then you're doing 8 GB of database, 100 GB of file storage, 50 GB of bandwidth. So you have massive and crazy offering for your database. Another thing is that if you're using superbase, then you have to be able to use API a lot. You need to understand what API endpoints are, how to send data, how to patch data, and a few other things. But good news for you if you're thinking of using this, because Flutterflow have a superbase integration, direct integration that you can use. But that doesn't mean you still won't have to know how a database works and how to connect it. So I would say that if you're not a pro in this thing, if you're just getting started, stick with Firebase, stick with using Firebase, and later you can move on to Superbase. Xeno works the same way. Xeno is also backend as a service. That's what Xeno does. Among its offering, it offers you a way for you to fix your database using Xeno. The reason why Xeno is cool is that it's also as scalable as Superbase. That's the reason why lots of people like Xeno. And one other thing that is super cool about using an external database is that you can connect it to multiple applications all at once. Most other no-code tools like Adalo, Bubble, and a few others, they all use SQL-based database. But Flutterflow use a NoSQL database, which means it's a bit difficult to convert, a bit difficult to work with. So I'd say if you're considering building your app on Flutterflow and then you're considering building a web app on some other platform, it would be cool if you use Superbase. And then if you have budget in mind, if you're not very financially cool, I would say run away from Xeno, because you can see Xeno starts at $59 per month. Starts at $59 per month. That's where it starts from, and then you go all the way, billing you at $7 or $8 per year. But if you're using Xeno is only billing you $25 per project. So I'd say if you have a single project and you just you have a single project and you just want to launch fast and you're looking for a Firebase alternative, go with Superbase. Really, you're gonna enjoy it. It's easy to integrate, it's cool, easier to integrate, straightforward, and you can build with this. You can fly all the way to the moon with this. So that's it for Firebase alternative. I hope I didn't spend so much time there. So let's go forward with the next thing I want to talk about. So we've talked about storing data, we've talked about reading data from a database, and I think the next thing I want to cover here is just fetching data from a REST API. So let's talk briefly about APIs. API means application programming interface. That's what it means. Just think of it as a way to collect data from somewhere, to send and receive data from somewhere. So imagine that you have data inside your PC and somebody is about to collect it, and you want to exchange it with a person, but without really sharing everything. So what you want to do, you give the person access to a particular spreadsheet and they can interact. That person can add and can receive data from that spreadsheet. For example, when you're sending money with the bank, what the bank does is that when you put in your data, it uses the API service to search for your details and return it back to you. That's majorly. Or have you tried to check scores for match scores and all that, like football scores or basketball scores? What happens is that they use API to send those scores back in real time so you can actually see it. So it's basically cool if you're using API in your application, especially if the data you're displaying in your application depends on other services. So it's super cool. This is not an extensive talk about API. I just want to show you that it's very possible for you to send and receive data on your application. That's what I want to show you. If you're looking for an extensive talk about API, feel free to check out my channel. There's a particular video where I covered what API is and how to use API. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use this Chuck Norris API. Yeah, this one. So APIs have different, there are different query you can send. You can send a get, you can send a post API, you can send a patch API. So let's say a get is a way for you to, when you're getting, you're receiving. When you're posting, you're sending. When you're patching, you're updating. Just like the way it sounds in English language. So I'm gonna get some random jokes, and this API is gonna return one. It's gonna return the ID, the URL, the value. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go to the API dashboard in Flutterflow, and I'm gonna say add API calls, create API call. I'm gonna say jokes. I'm gonna call these jokes. I'm gonna pull the API URL. Yeah, I'm gonna say response and test. Just test the call. So you can see 200 means it's successful. If it's not successful, it's gonna show red in there. So you can see what happens. So it's giving us the icon URL, ID, updated, the value. So this is the joke. What we're looking for right here is the joke, this one. This is the joke. And then Flutterflow gives us the ability to save most of these things that we've got in here. So if we want to save it, we'll need to add the JSON part, and there's a way it's simplified. So see, a JSON part is a way for you to simplify what has been given to you as the API response. You might have 1,000 rows and 1,000 columns here, but if you're using a part, it will enable you to take what is necessary and leave the other parts. For example, what's necessary here, it's not, the category is not necessary for us. What's necessary for us is the icon URL, the image, the date it's created, the date is created, and the value. This was important for us. Other things are not really important. We just need to know when it's created. We need to know the image URL, and we need to know the joke itself. And also there are other APIs that you can use. This one can retrieve the category, this one can retrieve list of categories, and this one can search. So that's not an extensive view of API, but I just want you to know that you can basically use API in your application the same way you're gonna be using you're using data from your database, and you can query an API if you want to. You can make an API call directly from your application. For example, if we add this as an API call, like so, if we give it a name, so JSON part has an invalid name, okay. Okay, selected. Okay, I'm gonna say image URL. So we're just gonna pull the name here, created at time. I'm gonna pull this value joke and say add call. Okay, so now that we've created this particular call and we've tested it and we know it's working, if we go back here, to this icon, we can really say open, and we can call that particular API anytime. So we would say API call, and what API are we gonna call? We're just gonna call the joke API, and the endpoint, nothing. We're not expecting anything, so we're not feeding it with anything. All we have to do is to call the API, and this is the result of the API. The result of the API, this is the name, and we can call the result new joke if we want to. So every time we call this API, we will be expecting something. So if it's successful, we want to do this. If it's successful, we want to add an action, so we can update a particular feed. We can do anything. We can show that news joke on the comment section if we want to. So it's just really work. API works if you want to integrate payment, you want to integrate finance, you want to integrate anything in your application. So I hope that works for you. That's how I will use API as a beginner. But when we get to the advanced part of when we get more advanced, you will see that you can use APIs to do so many things. I mean, you can run this application without a database simply by sending and receiving data via an API. So now that you've gotten that, so what we have to do next, I just have to show you a few settings. So this is where we are now. I just have to show you a few settings: the themes, general settings, platforms, and the language. So let's go ahead and run through that as fast as possible. Really, you're doing great. I mean, you've been here with me over an hour now, and that's amazing. So first, the first setting that you want to do is the theme setting. You want to choose your colors. So we didn't cover that in this section. You want to choose your colors, and you can import your Figma design. So you can import your Figma design. All you have to do is to put the URL link and the personal access token. You can check out this doc over here, how to do it. So you can choose your theme, choose your color, typography, and a whole lot here. Then for our navbar, you can decide if you want a navbar on every application, on every part of this application, if you want a navbar. But we didn't cover that yet. So we didn't cover that yet, but you can decide to if you have a navbar. That's fine. If you want to have a navbar on any application. Then we have the app details. We covered this before. The app details, the name of the application, and then we have the theme. So you can invite other team members into your application, which is cool. The primary language of this application is going to be English. I'm going to add the language, and it's going to be English. Yeah. The primary language is English and the display language is English. So you can have the primary language as English and display language as Swedish. And one thing I love about Flutterflow is that it can really translate your app real time. So if your app is Swedish and somebody is English and somebody in Sweden is using it, you can easily translate it to Swedish, and it's going to work very well. So also the last thing I want to show you is the platform. So here we are building on iOS and Android, but you can also add web, you can add Mac OS, you can add Windows to it. So that's how powerful Flutterflow is. You can use it to build for 6 different platforms all at once. And then we have permissions. You can ask your user for their Bluetooth, their biometrics, calendar, camera, contacts, location, notification, and much more. It depends on the application you're building and how you're building it. So those are some of the things that you likely want to set up, and those are some of the things that you likely want to think about before launching your application. And don't forget, we have the app details. Don't forget you have the app assets. Yes, you have the splash screen and you have the launcher icon. These are very, very important. You can go ahead and do that with Canva. It's pretty straightforward. So if you've gotten to this part of the application, awesome, congratulations. We're just gonna put finishing touches in the application, like the back button, things like this, like the back button. When you click on this, what happened? We want to go back, yeah. So like all that, and we'll be able to launch our application on the Play Store. I'm not sure if I'm gonna wait for Google to approve the application before I put it over there, but I'm just gonna show you how it is, how to launch it on the Play Store so that you'll be able to do it whenever you wanna do it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the last lesson of the course. Put the app on Play Store. I want us to cover a few more things, like tidying up the app a little bit, then previewing it to make sure that it meets our specification before we get to put the app on the Play Store. So let's go through our first pages. So we have our onboarding page right here. We have this, we have this, we have this, and so we have this, we have this page, and we have the login page and the home page. So we have the home page where users get to see tons and tons of posts, but if you look at that, there is no menu. There is no menu on top and there is no menu beneath. So it will be awesome if we put something at the bottom of it so that users will be able to probably log out of the application or log into the application, as the case may be. So we're going to put a menu on top of it so users can log out of the application. So we can use this one. This one is just gonna take them back, or we can bring them into a different part of the app. And this is the page title, and we can say welcome. So we can do like this and say welcome. That's fine. And this, we can take this, we can make them see a different aspect of the app when they click on this. So let's turn this arrow into a menu. I'll click on the icon here and I want to turn it into a menu right there. So when they click on this arrow, I want to have something slide from the left hand side of the application. From the left hand side of the application. So when we click that, we'll just click here, click on the widget, click right there, and then add an action. If we add an action, you can just, sometimes you might want to guess. So let's say something like a slide, no, or we can just go through. So go through it. Sometimes you might not really know the widget that you want to pick or how you want to pick it, but you just want to go through like this to, figure out something that works for you and try what works for you. See all the tools that's over here and see the one that you want to use in your application. So when we click on this icon, we want to open a slider menu. You can make this a pop-up if you want to. You can make it something that slides from the bottom. You can make it something that slides from the side, from the top, anywhere you want to slide it from, it's fine. So there is a component that will enable you to do something like this. We have to put that component on the page first before accessing it. So I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to click on the plus sign and find that component. Can't remember the name of the component right now, but I'm just going to find it. Yeah, it's called a drawer. That's what it's called. It's called a drawer. So I'm going to add it so you can see what happens. So when I put a drawer, you can see what happens. And then I'm going to just change the width of the drawer to 200. And inside this drawer, you can put anything you want to put. You can put anything you want to put. But in here, I'm just going to put some series of checkbox and a title. That's all I'm going to put. I'm going to put a list of it. That's what I'm going to do. No, that's not it. I can just put a column if I want to, but there is something specific that I'm looking for. I'm looking for something really specific to use. Selectable list style. So let's see. Yeah, I'm looking for something like this. But this is not really it. So I want people to be able to click on it and just go. Click on it and go. That's what I really want them to do when they get to this, when they get here. So I'm gonna remove it, delete it. I'm gonna delete it and just put a row. Okay, just gonna put a row. If I remember, I'm pretty sure I'll put it in. I put it in some other video. I put it in some other video, like so. I put it on top. There's my test, and okay, I'm gonna change this into a column. I'm gonna convert component. Now I'm gonna change this to a column. That's what I'm gonna do. Replace with get. I'm just going to replace it with a column and put a row inside the column. I'm going to wrap this text around the row. If you don't understand what I'm doing right now, you can go back, just check it and you'll be able to do this. So this is my row. I'm going to put this row, I'm going to put a padding on top of 40. I'm going to put a padding side of say 10, 10, 10. So I get to use 12. I use 12 a lot, but this time I'm just sticking for 10, and then I put an icon. So the element I was looking for, this is what it does. So it gives you a text and an icon, so you don't have to worry, you don't have to bother. So this will link to the settings. Yes, like so. This will link to the settings. You can play around this, you can change it. So I'm gonna make it a 10. You can change this to whatever you want to change it. This will lead to settings, and then we can just duplicate this, Ctrl D, and here this is going to be a profile. So I'm just going to call this a profile, and this is going to be a user. So we're going to make this user. So this could be the picture of a person. It could be the picture of a person. It could be whatever you want it to be. And then we need to add something to it. So we need to add an icon. So just an icon to it. Okay, we need to add a row. So we'll put another row and take it upwards on top of the column. So I want you to guess what I want to put on this row. It's going to be an icon, and if you can guess what the icon is going to do, so just try to guess what the icon is going to do. So this icon, I'm still going to give it a 10. I'm still going to give it a 10, and then I'm going to click on the icon and click on it here. I'm going to say close. So this icon is going to be an icon that will close this drawer. That's what it's going to do. So I'm going to give it a 20. Just going to give it a 20, and when user click on this icon, I want to close the drawer. So action, I'm going to say draw. So I'm going to say draw, click on the drawer right there. I would say close it, close drawer whenever this icon is clicked. So what I need to do now is to close the drawer. That's what I need to do now. And I'm going to figure that out now. So I'm clicking on the drawer right there, and so clicking on this container. There is an option somewhere to just go ahead and close the drawer. So there is an option somewhere to close the drawer when it's clicked. So I'm just gonna navigate from this page and come back again and see what happens. So okay. So this is our home page. So I'm gonna click on this. I'm gonna click on the home page. Then I'm gonna go click on the menu. I'm gonna go click on the home page menu, the icon. Where is the menu? Right there. Click on the menu, click on the task, click on the icon. So what I want the icon to do, I want the icon to also open a drawer. That's what I want the icon to do. So it's gonna open the drawer when users click on that particular icon. So if I'm a user and I click on this icon, it's gonna slide in the drawer. When I open it, when I click on it, when I stop, when I close it, it's just gonna close it. So let's see if that's gonna happen in the preview tab. Let's see. Okay. So you can see we're doing great. You can go ahead and style this the best way that you can if you want to. And so while we're rounding up with this is the last, this is our last lesson. This is not going to be our last lesson, so we have one lesson more. While we're rounding up with this, I want to tell you about debugging. So there are tons of time you will see that your app will just not work because something is just wrong. There's something you're not doing. So a lot of the issues that I get with Flutterflow, a lot of the error will come from either customs, if you're creating a custom widget, you're creating custom actions, or probably you're not passing data from one page to another very well. So those are three things that you have to check. And then there is this guy over here that is always telling you, hey, there is something wrong. When you see this error here, it's kind of telling you there's something wrong with your application. When you see a red arrow here, and sometimes you come back here and you will click here and say known issues. So you would see known issues over here. When there's an error, you would see issues over here. And another place where you find error is in your properties. So when you try to set an action and it's not cool, you're not doing it well, you find an error over here. So the thing is this, the error will not work, your app will not work if you have too many errors in it. The app is not going to work if you have so many errors. And if you have a single error, like a single error in it, it's not going to work. So there's another thing that we just have to fix here. It's in the post details screen. If we click on the back icon, what we want to do, we want to add an action over here, and we want to navigate back. So don't bother setting up too many things, just navigate back. That's it. That's what you want to do. And so if you do that, I think we're done. But there is something else you might want to tweak the app. You might want to add a way for users to log out. If you want to, I would say that you're going to put it in this drawer. You might want to add a way for users to log out, or you might put it in this drawer, or you might put it somewhere around the menu over here, you know, like a touch light, but like a like some sort of you know, a logout button. So if you user click on it, you draw a pop-up and say, are you sure you want to log out? And then if they say they want to log out, you just allow them to log out. So stop the video, go ahead and try the things we just implemented, come back, and then I'll show you how to launch your application on the Play Store. Thank you. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to launch your app on the Play Store. So I'm focusing on the Play Store because Play Store is very popular in Nigeria. So I have a Play Store account. I do not have an Apple account. The only time I have tried to use I've used Apple account is when I'm working for other people. So I really don't have an account to test this with, but just understand that it is straightforward. Although launching on the Google Play Store, it's way more straightforward than using the Apple, because there's so many security because there are so many security checks in the app. And when you're launching with Apple, it's pretty more complicated than you would do. Launching on the iStore is more complicated than launching on the Play Store. Play Store, I think, is a whole lot more straightforward than launching on the iStore. I'm not going to be showing that now because I really don't have an account. The only account that I have access to are for clients, so I can use it. But I have a personal Google Play Store account. That's what I'm going to be using in this lesson today. So first thing that you want to do, you want to just go ahead and say Google Play Console. That's the first thing you want to do, Google Play Console, and then click right there. So in my account, it's gonna say go to Play Console, but in your account, it's gonna ask you to log in and register. So you're seeing no code over here. All these other console are for clients, so this is the one I'm gonna use. But yours, you might not have a Google Console account, and what you have to do is just register. When you register, it's going to charge you a $25 fee when you register. And there are a couple of things that you want to do. When you register, be very careful to choose your payment account if you are not an American. If you're an American, I think you just go ahead. But if you are living in a different country entirely, when you're choosing your payment account, be very careful. Else, it's going to create an American payment account for you, and you won't be able to verify that account. That account will have to be deleted by the Google Play Store support team, so you can refix it again, and you're going to pay another charge. So I had to pay $25 twice because I didn't really take that into consideration when choosing my payment account. So whenever you create a service on Google, there's a payment account attached to it. If you do not pick your own payment account when you're trying to register for your store, when you're trying to register for your Google Play Store account, it will pick one and create one for you, and it's going to be a US based account. So I hope now that is clear. Let's go ahead and launch our application. To do so, let's go back here. To do so, we're going to go back to our app, and we'll click on the settings. We'll click on the settings. So we have two things here, the launcher icon and the splash image. So like I said before, you can always do these on Canva. Yeah, you can do this on Canva and it works pretty well. Okay, let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna go ahead and create anything. So I'm gonna go open Canva, and I'm gonna say logo. Just gonna find some sort of a logo on Canva. That's what I'm gonna do. Just find a logo and pick one. I'm just gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick a logo, customize this template. But it's not a Canva class, so I'm not gonna spend so much time on this one. This is a logo. So I'm just gonna take this away. I'm gonna take this away. I'm just gonna leave it this way. So I'm gonna take this away, and just leave the V and the V. Or we can find a different template entirely. Canva have thousands and thousands of templates that you can use when you're designing your application. So I'm just gonna go with something like this. I think this is cool. It does stand out. And then I'll go ahead and download it as a PNG file. I'll download the second one, click on download, and that's what I'll do. And then, okay, we'll say Listview icon. So this is the icon we're gonna be using. I'm gonna save it. And then we also have we also have to create the app page, the app page. So this is going to be some sort of a straight up image, like maybe 1040 by 1040, something like this. And I'm going to pick some templates. And just use it. Anything that looks like gossiping, or that looks like, see, I'm just going to pick this. Meanwhile, this is supposed to be some feature of your application. That's what it's supposed to be, some picture of your application. So it's just an image that shows like maybe 2 or 3, maybe 1 second before your uploads. So don't take it too hard, but make sure that you give it the best design you can. So I'm just going to download this for the sake of this class. But if you are doing something professional for yourself or for a client, please give it some real attention. Give it some real attention so that it stands out from the rest, because there are millions of applications every day. Millions of applications are being launched every day. So now we'll pick this and say open. That's going to be our, oh no, but picked, let's clear this. So I'm going to clear this. I'm going to upload the image again. This is going to be our splash image, and this is going to be our launcher icon. This is our splash image, and this is our launcher icon, and that's really cool. And then we'll go back here and say, we'll go back to our mobile deployment. And what we want to do, we want to deploy it here. That's what we're looking for. We want to deploy. So there's various stages of deployment. There is internal, there is alpha, there is beta, and there is production. Production is where you put it on the Play Store and everybody's seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. Internal, you want to check among your team to make sure that your app is functioning very, 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 very well. So there is service account credentials. There is a couple of things that you have to do. Let's go get started. Let's go back to our Google Play Store. So first, you're going to create an app. Before you create an app, there will be some notification here telling you to verify your account. That's it. But I've verified my account, so I can put an app on the Play Store, easy peasy. So I'm going to create an app. The app name is going to be Xeno. Default language here. Then the type is going to be an app. Payment is going to be free. Declarations, so I'm just going to check all this. US expert lawyers, check all this and say create an app. So it's going to load a console for your application right there. And next, it's going to just tell you the things that you should do as you create an app. So first, it says share your app for internal testing if you want to, provide information about your app and your store listing, and release your app. So let's just launch it internally. Trust me, it's pretty straightforward. Let's launch it internally. So let's go ahead here and say select testers. So when you're selecting your tester, you would have to create these testers. You have to create an email list that you will send it to. So I'm gonna give it a name. And I'm gonna put the email over here at gmail.com. Hit enter. I'm gonna add another one, pull the code one at nocode45.co. I'm gonna hit enter. So, and then I'm gonna say save changes, I'm gonna create. So now it's saying this email does not exist, so just gonna take it away. Say save changes, save, and now we have a test. We have a tester, and then we'll say save changes. So once you're done with that, the next test is to create a release. So go ahead and say create release. And this is where we're going to put our app bundle. But before we create the app bundle, we have a lot of other things to do. To do that, go back to your Google setup page, click on API access. The reason why you're doing this is because without doing this, you will not be able to give Flutterflow access to your application. So that Flutterflow can pass the application from Firebase down to your Google Play Store console. Flutterflow uses a tool called CodeMagic. So you need to be able to give CodeMagic access to your project. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. So click on save and Click on save, and we'll just wait for it to load a little bit. Green means it's coming through. And here, so we have, it says linked Google project on linked project. Google Play Android API is on, stuff like that. That's fine, but let's just go ahead and say view in Google Cloud Platform. So one thing you have to understand, you have to make sure that this particular project is the same as the one you are creating. It's the same as the one you're creating. So I have a project linked already, but you have to make sure that this is the same thing you are creating. The same thing. So this is the project. This is the name of the project. Yeah, project PC API, blah, blah, blah. This is the name of the project. You can see the project number. So understand the project. It's not going to be like any other project you've created before. So you're going to say learn how to create assets. So don't forget to click on this, learn how to create assets. Click on it. And click on this, go to, look at the instruction, go to Google Cloud Platform, create a service account, enter the required information, select done. And once you say done, you come back here all over again. So go here, say click on this, just follow the step. You can see the project ID is the same with this one. The project ID is the same with this one. So is this project ID that you're working on? So go back here and create a service account. So click here to create a service account. And put the service account name, just put any name. So I'm going to say Gistreal app, that's fine. So don't worry about the name, it doesn't have to be complicated. Then you go ahead and say create and continue. That's step one. And then select a role. Select a role, and the role that you're selecting, it should be the owner. That's fine. Owner is fine. So we'll go like that. All these are optional, but just give it a role and that's okay. Click on continue, but you don't have to fill it. It's not the most important thing there. You don't have to fill it, so it's fine. So click on continue, stay done. And then once you say done, click right here and say manage keys. You have to follow me closely. Say manage keys and add a key, create a new key. Leave it in JSON, not P12. So leave it in JSON and say create. And then this is the key. You're gonna have it download to your PC like so. Say close. And then once you're done with that, come back to your store console and say done. So now we have this. We have this over here. We have this. If you got this, it's fine. If you didn't get it, please go ahead and fix it all over again. So we have this manage Play Store console. So we're gonna give it access. So you can give it admin access, all permission, viewed app information, read only access, view financial data. Okay, so I'm very comfortable with this. I'm just gonna give it admin access. That's fine. I'm gonna click on invite user, send invite. So what you're doing is that you just gave Flutterflow or CodeMagic the ability to access your application directly from wherever they are. I mean, directly from their API. Don't worry, nothing's gonna happen to your application. It's okay. So we're gonna go back to our app. Remember that the thing you downloaded, the key you downloaded, the credential you downloaded, you're gonna input it here. This is the final step. Gonna input it here, and this is the JSON file. Please don't share with anybody. Whosoever has this key will have the right to just use your application. And then we're gonna choose the track and call it internal, and then we'll say deploy to store. That's almost it. We'll click on deploy to store, and it should keep rolling and rolling and rolling for a while. And then you can actually check your status. You can check the status of your application over here. You can just check the status of your application here to see what you've done. And I think we missed one thing earlier. We didn't really preview the application. We didn't preview the application to see if it's working very well, if it's not working very well before deploying it. My bad, don't worry, I'm gonna do that. But the first build is going to fail. The first build is going to fail. The reason why it's going to fail is that if we go back to our Play Store and we go back to our application, come here, we need to create a release. So we need to add a bundle we need to add a bundle, like create and roll out a release, and there have to be some sort of a bundle here. You can see we have an error. You need to upload an APK or an Android app bundle for this application. This release does not add or remove any app bundle, so we need to add some sort of a bundle over here. Yeah, we need to add an app bundle for this to work. So we're gonna say edit release. This is where we will drag our file to. So let's go back to our G-string application, check build status, it should fail. So build status likely will fail because we need to add the bundle to our app. So while we're doing that, let's just go ahead and and view our application. I'm gonna click here, and say run. So let's go back here. We see that application is still building, that's fine. And check build status, still building. Just give it some time. Give it some time to build, fix everything, send it to the Play Store. That's fine. You're almost done with this, and I am so proud of you that you joined me all the way. I think this should be like over a 2 hours course. I'm not sure until I get to produce it. I'm not very sure, but it's been super good hanging out with you and just building this simple application from the beginning to the end. Don't look at it like it's too simple. The thing is that it's just by building very simple stuff like this, that's how you go ahead and build complex stuff. Once you grab the fundamentals, you will be able to build big stuff. All you have to do is grab the fundamentals and off you go. So this is our application. This is showing dark mode, which I'm not sure I like. So this is showing dark mode, which is terrible. That's what it's showing right now. Showing dark mode. So if we click on the next, it's still gonna work, but this is not good. So let's go ahead, continue with email. So this is dark mode. Don't be scared. This is just showing dark mode. So we can turn it off. We can turn up dark mode when we come back here and say theme, and we can say dark theme. Just turn it off. That's it. That's all you have to do. So don't be scared about that. So I'm gonna go with my test email at gmail.com. Password 12345671. 12345671. And I'm gonna click on the enter button. So now you can see this is our application. Aren't you excited? Yeah, I know you are. This is our application, so we have it good. And then we click on this, we can see our app. Oh, whoa, now it's not scrolling. So you can see, I'm glad that we're debugging it right now. You can see it's not scrolling. So we have to make it scrollable. This is not scrollable, which is not good, but you can see the other part of the application is coming on well, right? It's coming on well. This is scrollable and this is not scrollable. Don't worry, just a few tricks here and there and you're done. So let's go back to our page. Come back here, post detail. Don't worry, I know one of the questions you're asking yourself right now is that I am making changes to the app and I'm still building. Don't worry, you can build multiple times, you can send it multiple times, it's fine. So I'm gonna go back to the application here and say to this particular column or this column, okay, this is scrollable. This column is scrollable, just don't worry, stop it. This one, I'm gonna make this one scrollable. The inner column, gonna make the inner column scrollable. And that's all I have to do over there. So we do that and we'll cancel this first one. And then I'll go ahead and run this application all over again. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend so much time on this. Let's go back, check our build. Mobile deployment, check build status. It's still building. So I'm just going to wait for it to finish building, and then I will come back here. I'm going to wait for it to finish building, and then I will join you again after. I'll join you again. I promise I'm not going to touch anything. If anything happens, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to show it to you if anything happens. But I'm just going to check this again. So I'm just going to check this. right here to make sure that it's working very well, and we can go ahead and just put it as a release on the Play Store. Go grab a cup of coffee, go grab a pizza, and just give yourself a tap on the back. So now you can see that the black color is gone. So let's see. So you can see now that our app is scrollable and it's super cool. Let's leave a comment, drum roll. This is a comment. This is a comment. Play. Yeah, it's working. This is a comment. And yeah, that's fine. Let's do something again. Let's leave it again. Okay, this is comment number 2. And then we say play. Yeah, so you can see it's working. But one thing that you have to correct again is that it's not clearing the screen. So it's not clearing it. So after entering a comment, it's supposed to clear the screen, right? Let's see our back button. Our back button is working. Click right there. You can see it's working very well. That's awesome, right? That's super awesome. So we're just going to make that last correction over here, and I'm sure that will be done. Let's check out build status. Check out build status. You can see it's built. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. It's fine. We'll build again after making these changes, and we'll take the AAB file. So this is the file that we're looking for, AAB file, and we'll take it back to the Play Store. And once we do that, it will work perfectly. Don't worry. So let's go back to our application. Click right there. Click here. Open. So once we have to create, we show it back in core. So the next thing we want to do is to clear. So click on, just type clear test feed, and we just clear this one. That's all. So we'll go back to our app, and we'll say build. So we'll just build it again. Just build it again because we've made a lot of changes. Just build it again. After building it again, I'll come back and I'll show you what's the next. So just go ahead and say build, deploy to Play Store. Just say deploy. That's all. I'm gonna stop the video, go grab a cup of coffee, and come back and show you what I did next. Application again, and now it's failed. So what you want to do, we want to download the AAB file. This one. Just download it to your PC. It's gonna be the same size as your mobile application, so it's not gonna take too much from you to download. So this AAB file, this is what you're going to upload to your Google App Store when they're asking for you to send a release. So just waiting for it to finish. So how are you thinking about your skill set now? So hope you're good and hope you're ready to build your mobile application. So meanwhile, while you get ready for that, if you have questions, leave it in the comment section, or you want me to coach you privately, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. And if you need help on your mobile application, feel free to reach out to me also on Twitter or via the link below. And definitely, I'm going to help you. You're new to the channel, feel free to also subscribe so you can, it's good for the YouTube algorithm. So now that I've downloaded the file, I'm going to upload it. And this is it, this file. Just going to upload it there. So it's generating the app signing key. I'm going to give it a name after that. And the next build is going to be a success once we do this. So the name, I'm going to give it a name. Release just real V1. So I'm just going to call it version 1 or V1. That's fine. And I'm going to wait for this to upload. Once it uploads, I'll be able to review the release, and that should work very well. So you can see now we've added, you can see the type, the app bundle, you can see the level, you can see all of that. You can make changes here if you want to, delete, stuff like that, and then that's fine. Then review release and save. So I'm just going to click on save. So once we click on save, we have an app bundle. We have an app bundle over here, and that's basically fine. So we have an app bundle. We have a release. So just review the release, and so we have 3 more warnings. You must commit this before you can release an app. Here you are. Warning. The bundle, okay, that's fine. So it's all right. Download size for new installs, it's all right. Start rollout for internal testing. So rollout. So you are done. So you can see it's available for initial testing. If you are connected to this store, then you should basically see that you should basically get an email. So I'm going to check if I got an email myself. You should get an email to say, hey, this has been rolled out for internal testing. So it's not here yet, but you should get an email that this has been rolled out for internal testing. Or sometimes it's only those persons who are added. Those are the only persons who can have access. So now that we've rolled this out for internal testing, all we have to do is to push our release over here. Just go ahead and say deploy to Play Store, and this should be very successful. Just deploy to Play Store. Within a few minutes, you should get notification that your app deploy is successful. That's how you will deploy stuff to the Play Store. So next, I'm going to just run down the recap of everything we learned, and I'll tell you the next steps. Thank you. There's a couple of things I really don't want you to miss out on. Remember that there are lots of things that you really have to do on this one. You have to put in the name of the application, the icon of the application, put it on Play Store here, so it makes a lot of sense to people who are using it. And then you can now go ahead and invite testers to the application. Either you add them to this list or you just go ahead and copy the link. When you copy the link, share it to them on social media, maybe WhatsApp or the rest, and then paste it over there. And then you will see the name of the application. It has not been reviewed. Yeah, it has not been reviewed, and it's fine. And then I'm on the program already, so I have the option to leave the program. So then go ahead and say download it on Play Store. You can see that your app here is ready for download on Play Store, and you can see like developer contact and the rest directly on Play Store. This is where you go ahead and install it, and use it on your device and see how it works for you. I personally, I'm going to install this application on my device and just play with it. I think it makes me really proud whenever I do such a thing. You won't believe how much I want to say thank you to you right now. You're such an amazing person. Great, you've started the course and you alone have completed it. I'm sure that you've been able to put your app on Play Store right now. If you haven't, feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to me on social media if you're having trouble, and I'll do well to answer you, to give you the helping hand that you deserve. Don't forget to subscribe again and again and again, and don't forget to share. And if you want to reach out to me on social media, click on any of the link below. It will take you to my social media handle, or you can reach out to me if you have any talks. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you in another tutorial. Have an awesome no-code journey ahead. Thank you.